All right, guys, welcome to Beyond the Mat. It's April 8th, 2022. We're reviewing SmackDown tonight. Just coming off the heels of WrestleMania. I got Kyle on the line today. How you doing, Kyle?
Doing great. This is Detroit Kyle.
All
Excited to
right.
talk about some SmackDown.
All right, me too, man. What'd you think overall of the episode tonight?
You know what? I was actually pretty happy about the episode. I don't think it was great by any means, but we got some introductions to new characters. We got some wrestlers being brought up from NXT. We got to see Butch in his first match. So there's a lot to talk about. A lot of excitement going on. A lot of character and story builds going on. So and that's honestly, when it comes to wrestling, my favorite part is all about the characters. So I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, I thought it was nice to see, we got Butch out there finally getting in a match, and it wasn't just like a 2-minute match. It's not like they did too much fantastic in the ring, but the psychology was there, and Woods is a good worker. It was a nice little match they had there in the first hour. Good to see Butch get some action. And I thought the introductions that they did tonight, albeit not like my favorite people, I think they were executed well. The Lacey Evans not my favorite female superstar, but the vignette brought a different type of energy than she had ever brought, and I kind of felt like I needed to get behind her after that. And I kind of felt interested to see whatever Michael Cole said she was going to say next week. And I can't say that I felt that way earlier today when I knew that she was probably going to be on the show. So, what do you think of Lacey
Right.
Evans?
Anytime you hear a character's coming back or a wrestler's coming back, you always have the prior expectations of what you knew before. Like, what was that character like when they went away? Well, and were they a heel or a babyface? Do I remember them being great wrestlers? Of what you knew before. Like, what was that character like when they went away? Well, and remember them being great wrestlers. Of what you knew before. Like, what was that character like when they went away? Well, and oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Something happened to you there for a second.
Yeah, I was hearing like an echo. It was weird.
Yeah, but you're good now. So let's go back. Lacey Evans.
Okay.
Usually we see the character
Yeah.
that we remember the character they went away as, and then
Mhm.
you were saying that.
Exactly. So she went away from what I remember as a heel, and so it's interesting to see her coming back with a very babyface type promo here. Very emotional, but story about her parents, mom running away with her at a young age, and they hopped around. And they had pictures of her in a uniform. I tell you what, if you really want to build some babyface love, show a picture of the wrestler in a military uniform. It will get them over with the audience every single time. So yeah, I'm just interested to see where they're gonna go with this new babyface version of her.
It's funny you should say that because that was like, remember a few months ago when they had that nice promo for Bobby Lashley, and they had
Oh
him,
yeah,
and it was like super babyface, and they made sure they had all the military stuff in there. And so that's definitely something that's like congruent. If there's military stuff to put in there for a promo, if you're a babyface, it's going in there because that gets over. You know what I mean?
exactly. And in all due respects too, as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
to
right.
any veteran, anybody that's been in the military. And I think that's really what builds that love for that person is you really always have respect for anybody that puts their life on the line for your country. So, I have bad respect for anybody that does that. And if that's how they're going to present Lacey's character, then yeah, everybody's going to fall in love with her immediately.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, I thought it was way better than what they were doing before. It made you feel sympathetic towards her and things like that. She was talking about how, the troubles of her childhood and how she went from here to there and everywhere, but that just made her stronger and stuff like that. She might not have all the things that the women superstars of today have, but she's going to overcome that, basically, was what she said. Not so many words. Um, she talks about the United States Marines. And she says the things that everybody else has accomplished don't make them better than her. And so I didn't really understand what she was saying at the end there about. Did you catch that? She said something about if nobody's better than whatever they did doesn't make them better than me, but whatever I did doesn't make me better than them. I don't understand. That was the
Yeah,
only
I think
part I
she's
got
basically
confused.
just trying to show the chip on her shoulder. She's trying to show that no matter what accomplishments her opponents have and what easy steps they've had to get where they are, she's had the difficult path, but she doesn't care, and she's going to beat them anyway.
Yeah, there you go. You're putting it together for me. Because I
Sometimes you got to simplify what they say. You got to read between the lines a little bit.
yeah, it's like I understood where she was going with it, but then like the last couple lines, I was like, I, I don't know what if I just heard it wrong, but it just sounded like she just talked herself into a circle. But now that you articulated it better, it makes sense. She's basically saying that all these people had all this, and I may not have had all that, but I can still. But just because they had all that doesn't mean they can beat me. Doesn't mean they're better. So
Yep, and it might even be a little bit of a hint towards her going back to feuding with Charlotte, since that was the her last feud that she had before she left. So she might be reigniting that feud a little bit because Charlotte is the type of wrestler that's had everything not handed to her, but it's been presented to her by having her dad be the most one of the most famous wrestlers of all time, Ric Flair, and having every opportunity kind of given to her. Whereas Lacey's story is a lot different, where she did not have those opportunities, and so I that's what I think might be one of the first feuds that she has. Although we did see a little promo between Charlotte and Ronda. Um, we'll see how that goes. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think Lacey gets in the mix here sometime too, because she's got a feud with somebody as well. And Sasha's wrapped up in the team right now. The rest of the singles wrestlers are wrapped up in tag teams right now. So who's she going to feud with right away? And both Ronda and Charlotte are available, but I'd say Charlotte's probably going to be the first person that she targets as an opponent.
I was thinking the same thing, and then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I got Ronda Rousey challenging Charlotte to a I Quit match, which we don't know whether it'll happen. We'll get to that in a minute, but if Flair's tied up with Rousey, maybe they're just doing these vignettes right now to heat up Lacey a little bit, get people to, be excited for her to come back, and then her come back to take on Charlotte once she's done with Rousey in a couple weeks or something. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's actually where we opened the show off too, is with Ronda coming out and doing her in ring promo, which everybody is so excited to hear Ronda do an in-ring promo. Am I right? Oh my gosh, we just love hearing those in-ring promos by Ronda. I don't know if you can tell the sarcasm coming through my voice right
I
now,
can
but
tell it. I can. You're laying it on. You don't even have to lay it on thick because I agree with. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, she's
oh my
out there
gosh.
tonight as a baby face, and they put the ring announcer in there with her to like kind of help her not come across as a bitch, and she still comes across as somebody who doesn't even fucking want to be there.
Yep, exactly.
You know?
And I actually like the fact that they put her in with Kayla Braxton, and it gave her a chance to have somebody to fall back on, really.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Charlotte, I was like, okay, thank God, we're going to see some actual acting. We're going to see an actual character. Ronda doesn't play a character. Ronda is just. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off the handle here about Ronda. She plays herself. Like she's standing in the ring, taking the time to listen to people chant her name, Ronda. But you know what she's doing? She's reacting like Ronda Rousey, the person, would. Like, oh, that's so nice. People are cheering my name. Where's the character Ronda? Where's the baddest woman in the universe, in the world, or whatever the saying is? The baddest woman wouldn't stand there and smile and wait for her fans to stop cheering her name. No, she would have a stern look on her face and immediately start talking and challenge Charlotte. So I'm sick of her decision to not act whatsoever.
I totally agree. I mean, I mean, she had someone in there to play off of, so she didn't have to totally be the super baby face, and like she didn't even play into what Caleb Braxton was trying to sort of get out of her. She just very flatly delivered her lines. You know, uh, I made her tap out, so I want an I quit match this time. Uh, it's like I needed to find a pillow or something. You know what I mean?
Ronda Rousey.
Yep. It's ridiculous, man. It's like they got through WrestleMania, and I see where the story is going, especially the way that the WrestleMania match ended. The fact that we had the ref bump, we had Charlotte Flair pinned and tapping out in the same match, still wins. That lends itself to they have to keep going. But why the hell didn't they
Of
just
course.
end it then? Like why not?
There's great question.
Like it's not they've tried desperately to do everything. I mean, like you could see him trying to do anything they can to put Rousey in a position where she's likable. She's not because she's naturally somebody. I'm not saying she's naturally a bad person or naturally someone you shouldn't like. I'm just saying naturally she's kind of a dick, and that's just somebody that should be positioned as a heel. Position them as a baby face, they don't do it well. And
But I feel like WWE has zero control over this audience right now when it comes to Ronda's character. I feel like no matter what they do, they couldn't turn her heel because they just chant her name constantly. They love her. Everybody loves her, and I don't even get it. I don't even understand what the infatuation with her is at this point. What is it that everybody finds so appealing and attractive about her? She's not being the baddest woman in the world. She came in the Royal Rumble towards the end
hey,
and
Kyle,
knocked out a few people. Yeah,
Brad's
I
calling
just
in,
don't
so
believe it.
let's merge
Come
Brad
on
in.
in, Brad.
All right, hang on one second. What's up, Brad?
Hey, man.
I'm going to merge you with Kyle here. We're on air.
All right.
All right, guys, you should both be with me now.
We're all on the air.
All
Hey,
right.
Brad.
So
Kyle?
Kyle was flying off the handle about how Ronda Rousey could if you ever need a tranquilizer, just watch her cut a promo.
Just go right to sleep. I actually thought, it's weird. Like she came out all smiley and she was like really happy and high-fiving everyone and going out of her way to high-five others. And then like it was just right back to just weird, slow Ronda.
She just seems
That's
so
her acting
disinterested.
face. That's when she's thinking so hard about what her line is and what emotion she's trying to show, but all she could do is have that dumb look on her face and fumble through the words.
Yeah, she can't improvise at all either.
No, zero improvisation.
Women.
Maybe it's just women, man.
I just don't get the lack of acting. Like you guys, these wrestlers are playing characters. I know that her actual name is Ronda Rousey. I get that, but when she's in the ring, when I see her on TV, I don't want to see the Ronda Rousey that's at home with playing with her goats with her brand new child. I want to see the Ronda Rousey that kicks ass and takes names.
I agree, man. That's why she should be a heel, so she could do that. And instead, we're going to see her continue to do this stuff with Flair, which honestly, like, I've watched the WrestleMania match a couple times, and like, as much as it was not it was definitely not better than Lynch and Blair or a lot of other matches. I felt like because one of the things a lot of people were saying, and certainly one of the things I felt, is that the match was definitely pretty sloppy, seemed disjointed at times, and things like that. However, a fight between these two should look sloppy. It should look like a fight. It should look like a brawl. It should look like a little bit of a mess. So I kind of liked how it looked that way. That being said, I don't need to see it again, and I certainly don't need to see two women beat the hell out of each other to the point where one of them needs to say "I quit" when the one who's stipulating this is someone who I don't want to hear say anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's too much feedback on that line.
On my line,
Now that's good. You're good.
Ronda really use a manager badly.
Well, they tried
Yeah,
that
but who
tonight
could
with
step
Caleb
into that
Braxton as
role?
they listen. Part of one of the things they do before they decide we're going to invest in putting a manager with somebody is they put them in the ring and have the ring announcer walk them through their promo, and she failed miserably at that tonight.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, she's bad. She's bad.
I mean,
I thought maybe
She's a
they could have
badass.
had something with oh, now I can't remember her name. She's one of the Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. That's what it is. I thought they were gonna pull an angle where Sonya Deville starts like getting involved with Ronda or Charlotte, and she was involved for a match or two, but it was only because Naomi was involved with the matches. But I thought maybe that would be a good person that could manage Ronda. If they turned her heel, but they probably won't.
be a good person to fight Ronda, so that way Ronda's not fighting our champion, and you know what I mean. It's not time. We don't have Ronda's promo tying up that much of the show. We wanted to see her every week, and then Flair's not even there. Flair's on the freaking big screen. So like, of the two of them, who do you think is better at performing in front of a crowd?
Come on, man.
Well, Charlotte, 100%.
Yeah, that's not even a question. So then why the fuck do they keep trotting Rousey out there to get the reaction to her music? I mean, people have to not. How can anybody be into it? I see people getting all excited for her music, and then when she starts talking, it's like the whole arena falls asleep.
They love her. I don't know what it is. They love her. They absolutely love her. Every time they see her, they're like, "Oh my God, she's the best person in the world." I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it at shows I've been at. I'm like, why is Ronda Rousey getting this kind of reaction? You know what I
Do
mean?
you guys think Vince is happy when he watches these things? Like, do you think Vince is happy with her?
No.
Oh yeah. Well, this is what I'll say. Vince is happy with the amount of views he gets when Ronda's on TV.
Yeah, the ratings go. I mean, like you got to understand, but he's happy with numbers, shit like that. He paid her a lot of money though, and he wants his shit to. I mean, he scrutinizes everything on those shows. If Michael Cole, I guarantee you, he's pissed off at Pat McAfee for saying Pete Dunne's name, just something little
That
like
was
that.
funny.
Like he gets pissed off if they cut away from something too early. You know what I mean? Like he's just a perfectionist that way. He's always been that way. He's always helped producing these shows, and so, and that's why we heard, shortly I think after the Rumble, when Ronda Rousey cut a promo and was even more drowsy than she's been recently, and you know, I think there was a rumor or whatever or a story that Ronda got a talking to by management after a promo, and she did. They were like, "Listen, you are a baby face. We're relying on you to, capture the emotion of the crowd in a positive way and get them behind you against our heel champion." She hasn't done that. If anything, the heel's gotten people to turn against the baby face and support her.
Exactly.
But
And you know what? You don't have to say anything astounding. You don't have to say anything significant or revolutionary or anything like that or inventive or creative. Look, Charlotte said the simplest things tonight. She said the baddest woman on the planet is a myth. And then she said no. It's basically all she said was, "You're a myth, and no, I won't fight you." But she said it in such a great way that it makes you hate her so, so, so much. And that's the whole point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Charlotte can say 3 words or 3 sentences or whatever the fuck it is, and it can have an impact. And up until this point where she's been rubbed against Rousey, I've thought Charlotte Flair was a horrible promo. And now putting her up against Rousey makes her look like the second coming of The Rock or something behind the microphone. I mean, and she doesn't even have to say anything. But that's a tribute, that's a testament to her abilities and her psychology and just knowing the right things to say. She was also pre-taped on the big screen, so it's not like she had to do that live in front of a crowd. But when they do these promos face to face, Charlotte always just has like the one or the 3 lines, and they're executed perfectly. Everybody hates her, so they hate hearing that coming from her. And I don't know. Charlotte's been if nothing else comes out of this Charlotte and Ronda thing, it's made me respect Charlotte's work more than I already did. And that's like all I can tell you that I'm getting out of it, is that I think more highly of Charlotte than I did when she was working with anybody else, because there were so many times where I'd be like, doesn't look like Charlotte's selling shit right. Charlotte's doing this moonsault that she fucks up every time. Charlotte's bland on the microphone. She's stiff worker. She goes into business for herself, all these things. And then we have Rousey in here who can't even execute a babyface promo, which for her should be easy because the fans are already behind her for whatever reason. She doesn't even have to work to get them behind her. She just needs to put forth energy, and then people are going to like her. I don't even think it matters what the fuck she says. People hate Charlotte Flair. All she has to do is sit there and go off about how she's going to fuck Charlotte Flair up and break her leg off. She could say that with some emotion, and then people will be like, yeah, that's right. Let's do it. And then she can ad-lib, I'll break her fucking arms off while I'm at it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, even some voice inflection would help. Like, everything is the same tone. Like, all she needs to do is, you know what, Charlotte? I'm gonna, like, just up and down. And there's none of that. It's just the same tone, quiet. It's really weird, man, that no one's taught her that. Or maybe she just can't do it.
She starts whispering or something in the beginning. When she first starts her promo, I'm almost like leaning forward to my TV. I'm like, what's that, Rhonda? What are you trying to say? Come on, speak up.
Yeah, and I wonder how dumb of an idea. But they need to put her segments in the middle of the show. Don't open the show with that shit. You know what I'm saying? If I was
There's nothing else to open the show
with a big pop, though. You want to open your show with a big pop, though, and she's a guaranteed pop. Always, every time. They love her.
I don't know, man. I'd rather bring Drew McIntyre out. He'll get a pop.
That's true.
It's because they give the people in the stadium a pop, and then at home I gotta go get myself a fucking blanket and a Snuggie because she puts me to sleep. I mean, not really, but she may as well, because now, effectively here, we're going to move on from Ronda in a minute, but unless you guys have more to say about it, but she's in there. Braxton's really, Caleb Braxton's really trying to push it here and push Ronda to really make this promo mean something. She's telling her, you made Charlotte tap out. You beat her. You should have won. She said that like 3 times at different points. All Ronda had to do was take that, run with it, spike it in the end zone. You know what I mean? All she had to do was say, yes, I did beat her. If it wasn't for that damn referee, or if it wasn't for her running into the damn referee, it's a fluke. I need a rematch. Instead, she does this monotone bullshit. And, in not so many words, she says that she beat her. But she really should have laid into what Braxton was feeding her. So then Braxton, again, after her first soliloquy or monologue, whatever you want to call it, Braxton starts feeding her again. But you won. and she's still on this monotone, no energy. Like, not, she should be like, that's right, I did win. You know? Get your ass out here now, Charlotte. Not show up on the big screen and tell me no. So she challenges Charlotte to an I Quit match. They really try to play out the drama. I challenge you to a different kind of match. We're wondering, could it be a submission match? Could it be a ladder match? Could it be a cage match? It's a I Quit match between two women who have been fighting over who has a better submission hold for the better part of 2 months. What do you guys think?
Pretty
Brandon, you wanna go first?
pretty uninspiring, honestly. I don't know. I just wasn't into this segment at all. Not really excited for a rematch. Not really that excited. Look, I respect, really both of them in a lot of ways, but it's hard to get super excited about seeing it again. Honestly, I would rather have seen Charlotte challenge someone else, and so someone else challenge her, and then maybe have Ronda get mixed up in it, and somehow it becomes a 3-way or something. I don't want to see it again. Just them two.
Kyle?
It's really not necessary. I don't even know what an I Quit match is. What, you have to do something to make your opponent say the words I quit? Is that the whole thing?
You don't know what an I Quit match is?
I don't know what an I Quit match
You have
is.
to
They
watch.
didn't explain anything, so
You need to watch.
they're gonna have to re-explain it to me.
Well, they assume that you've seen Royal Rumble 2000, or I'm sorry, Royal Rumble 99. Rock faced Mankind in an I Quit match. I suggest you go back and watch that one.
I definitely will. Yeah. Well, this is the thing: is it doesn't matter what the rules were of that match back then, because it's WWE and they change their rules all the time. It's the place where the rules are made up and the wins don't matter. That is what I like to say, about the WWE, because they, even if you think you know the rules to a match, they change it up on you. But I believe you. I'm gonna have to go look it up and see what's going on. So,
So an I Quit match is when
it,
you beat the hell out of each
yeah, go
other.
ahead.
It doesn't end until, they'll have a microphone, most likely, that the referee's carrying around, and there's no pinfalls. No, I mean, I guess you can put somebody in a submission hold, obviously, but it's falls count anywhere. No disqualification. Doesn't end until one of them says I quit. The way that The Rock and Mankind, The Rock was supposed to win, but this match was a total disaster. They beat the hell out of each other. The finish of the match was supposed to be like 4 to 6 chair shots to the head. Mankind was supposed to roll out of the ring and then say I quit. Now the whole gimmick was earlier than in the night on Sunday Night Heat. The Rock had, I'm sorry, Mankind had cut a promo and he was like, I'm going to make The Rock say I quit, I quit, I quit. So they had it recorded. So after The Rock's hitting him with the chair. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Mankind's supposed to get out of the ring after 4, but he doesn't. And who knows why, but it's probably because he's so rattled from all the shit that happened in this match that he doesn't even realize where he is or how many times he's been hit in the head. So The Rock continues to bash him over the head with this chair. 10 direct chair shots to the head. The chair, you could hear it hitting his skull. It was bad. And then he rolls out of the ring. Finally, they put the microphone up to him, and then over the loudspeaker plays what he said on Sunday Night Heat: I quit, I quit, I quit. Then they go on to have an empty arena match on halftime Heat of the Super Bowl. Eventually, The Rock gets his title and defends against Austin at WrestleMania 15. But that was one of the epic matches that Rock and Mankind had after Mankind had won the title on the taped Raw that aired on January 4th, 1999. That was night Tony Schiavone told people watching Nitro, oh, a mid-carder's going to win the world title on the other station. That'll put asses in the seats. And when he said that, 600,000 people changed the station from Nitro to Raw. And that was like the end of the WCW dominating the 83 weeks, dominating the ratings. So that's a little blast from the past about I Quit matches. So this match, she's proposing a match where she wants to beat the hell out of Charlotte to the point where she has to quit. Not just submit and tap out, but to quit. Are you interested?
Well, I highly doubt that they can live up to the standard of a Rock Mankind match, even if it was not the greatest match between them. So I get the rules and all that,
It was
but I
just
still have very
so
low
brutal.
expectations.
It was just so brutal. I
Yeah,
mean, it was a great classic match.
they can't bring that brutality back
Yeah.
though. That's the problem. Is in today's PG WWE, you can't bring back that. You can't do 10 chair shots to that. In fact, the craziest thing they do now is 2 chair shots. 2. Oh my God, he did not 1 but 2 chair shots. So like I miss those days, but of course that this is for the safety of our superstars. Don't get me wrong. They should not be doing that stuff anymore. So I get it. But we'll see what happens. It's a match again between the two of them. So, my expectations will be low once again.
I think an I Quit match between the two of them, as opposed to two people like Lesnar and Reigns, you put them in an I Quit match, they'd probably kill each other, whether they wanted to or not. But I think with these two, you have a submission specialist martial artist, and then you have one of the most talented wrestlers, female wrestlers on the planet, so they can at least work a safe style to not injure each other while they're trying to make each other quit. I think what it'll be is Charlotte will probably use more weapons like kendo sticks, and Rousey will use more, submission tactics and things like that. But I'm just not. They lost me with this one. I don't. If maybe they'll get me back if Ronda Rousey can cut a promo, but they lost me with my interest in this. I Quit match exciting. I'll tune into it at the next pay-per-view, but the whole build to it's going to be bullshit. It's the same thing as they did building up to WrestleMania.
WrestleMania Backlash.
Exactly. So yeah, she challenges to the I Quit match. We see Pierce backstage at one point. Someone's trying to give him a note. He reads it, says, "I don't have time to talk to Ronda Rousey right now." Later on in the show, he's talking to Jinder Mahal, and Ronda Rousey walks in on him and says, "What do you think about the match?" He says, "Not sure. We'll find out by tomorrow." So I'm assuming that they'll announce this on social media or some shit like that.
Yeah, like why find out tomorrow? Why not? We'll find out next Friday. You know what I mean?
I guess to get social media hits. I don't know. To make it seem like it's the real world, and they had to run it by the boss who was out of town today, and even though he's right behind the curtain. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I like how Rhonda is so special that when she comes in, that Jinder and Shanky have to leave. They're like, "Oh, Rhonda's here. I guess we'll leave now. I guess our conversation with Adam is over."
Well, maybe that she came in. They said, "Hey, I gotta go take a nap." You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yep, Rhonda's here. Time to go to sleep.
Take a nap. Man.
All right.
God. We got Ronda Rousey. We'll move on from that.
Yeah, I'm ready to go to bed after talking about Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. Let's go on to the most exciting part of the show, right? Butch.
That's Butch.
Who the hell do you think you are?
We get Butch out here against Xavier Woods. Decent little match they had there. Not much to it, but it was a little bit longer than I expected. Saw some feistiness out of Butch. Hit an apron bomb on Woods at one point in this. Outside.
That looked painful. I just gotta say, I don't know. That looked stiff, honestly.
That's why I brought that up.
Apron drop. Whoa.
Nice apron drop he hit on him. Yeah, banged him right on that thing. They fight back and forth a little bit. Woods hit the super kick. couple other nice blows to the head with his boot. But then Butch counters eventually with a big boot to the face. At the end, we see Butch in control with some kicks, backs up into the corner to set up, charges at Woods. Woods dodges him and rolls him up in a small package for a 1-2-3. So we got to see Butch in action tonight, and then after the match, Butch actually attacks Sheamus and Holland for whatever reason, showing that he's a firecracker. They get him under control. What do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of Butch? Brad,
Butch.
what do you think of Butch?
I don't think he should have lost tonight. I do not think he should have. I think there's no harm in having Xavier take a loss, but I mean, this has made Butch look like, just a loser to me. I mean, I don't think, but I mean, do you guys agree? Butch, I would have booked Butch to win that match.
Go ahead, Kyle. I'll say what I need to say after you.
Yeah, right now, because it's his first match and because it's so early, he's not going to be like an Omos where you're trying to build him where he's an indestructible, invincible type character. I think it's okay for him to get this loss. Like I said before, this is a sport in which the rules are made up and the wins don't matter. So I feel like this loss doesn't really lose much credit for him because he doesn't have any credit anyway. It's kind of like he's playing with house money at this point. So the loss just makes him more infuriated and then he attacks Sheamus and Ridge. So I think the loss actually helps build that story where he's even more of a loose cannon. Such a loose cannon that he'll attack his friends, he'll attack his companions. So I think that is really where the loss part of it comes in, where it's trying to help build his character, where afterwards his loss forces him, or doesn't force him, but he's so uncontrollable that he can't help but attack the people that are around him, which are his friends. So, if he wins, what does he do? He just smiles, and then Xavier walks out with another loss to the same exact team. So I'm okay with the loss, but I see what you're saying. Like, he could have won and still looked good.
No, he did not. He shouldn't have won this match. He should not have won this match. The New Day's been getting squashed by Fight Night for like 5 weeks in a row. Xavier Woods is an established star. Butch is not. So but the story of the match was really Butch got over without going over because his style was too much for Woods to handle. And the only reason Woods won is because he rolled him up in a schoolboy, which is a cheap way to win.
A sloppy roll up.
It was a really, so it makes it, Butch was in control of that match most of the time. So he gets beat with a roll up, and then that pisses him off so fucking much he beats up his own friends. So the only way to illustrate that is to make him lose in a cheap way. So if you just put him in there and give him a win, then he's not supposed to be an unstoppable force. He's supposed to be a little pissant that pisses everybody the fuck off and that you can't keep controlled. So to sort of go
and
down
I think
the
what's really
storyboard
important is that roll up. That's really important part of it because it means he's not losing clean with a pin.
Right.
He's losing with a quick roll up where, like, oh man, he was so close, and then Xavier pulled a quick one on him.
Yeah.
So he gives him a chance to kind of regain that momentum.
Had he lost to Xavier Woods' finish and Xavier Woods if he just basically jobbed to Xavier Woods in this match, then I would totally agree with Brad. But I don't think that this match showed off a lot of things that at least the Butch character can do, right? And so I think they did that right. You can debate who could win or not, but I think that the point that they were trying to make, they got it across at least.
I hear you. The other thing that was really annoying about this, like really fucking annoying, was like that whole thing at the beginning where they cut the music. Oh, the records are now 0-0 because we did a reset. What did we do? A reset. Like, it was so stupid and it was so pointless.
God, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Oh, so annoying. I just wanted that to be over. I hated that. There's very few things like on this show that I'm like, that's really annoying. Like that was really annoying to me.
There was a specific word that popped in my head while I was watching that. Insufferable. You guys are insufferable. Like, what do you mean the record's cleared? What are you talking about? Every wrestler talks about every single match they've ever had in the history of wrestling when they're trying to talk about who they are as a wrestler. You can't just wipe the slate clean. That's not how this works. New season? Forget that. No.
Well, they had to come out there and say something stupid. So it's better than Kofi beeping the horn of that fucking ATV. It made me want him to get beat up by Rich Holland that day.
They still got the New Day Rocks chant in there, though. He got that right in the end. He made sure to get that audience clapping New Day Rocks. Well,
God, have you ever been in the building for that?
wait, and what happened to King Xavier? Did he not have his crown on today? I don't remember him.
They stopped referring to him as that. He's not.
And why is that? Why?
I don't know.
Because he got his crown smashed. Because I saw that crown after it got smashed.
Yeah, they gave him the new crown, and then he injured himself, and for whatever reason, they bring him back, and he's not King Woods anymore.
So you've got Zelina Vega, who's faking a terrible English accent she's faking, which sounds more Australian than English. And she goes in and out of multiple different voices while she's doing her promos, but she's still pretending to be Queen Zelina. And they introduce her as Queen Zelina. And she comes out to the ring with this giant staff, a scepter, whatever you want to call it, this long ass robe. But Xavier Woods is no longer King Xavier. Why do they even do these King and Queen of the Ring matches anymore? What do they even mean anymore?
They don't mean shit. I mean, they were supposed to be something that, so we go back to the 90s a little bit. Think of some King of the Rings. Bret Hart was a King of the Ring right before he took off. Owen Hart, the late Owen Hart, was a King of the Ring. Austin, when he coined the phrase Austin 316, says, just whooped your ass. That was after he won the King of the Ring. Ken Shamrock.
Now, let me ask you something before you continue. You just named 3 examples, right? In all 3 of those examples, did any of those wrestlers, A, create a stupid accent, B, act like a complete dickhole after becoming a king, and C, completely change their character around being a king and call themselves a king? No, they didn't. No. Why do we have to see this now? Why is it completely different now?
Well, it didn't start now. I mean, King Booker did this shit. Booker T did the same shit. And like ever since then, people have been doing this shit every time they win the king. I was going to say back in the 90s, Bret, Owen, Ken Shamrock, Triple H, Austin, guys would win it sort of that were in the intercontinental range that were getting ready to, and it was a way to, heat a guy up and get him ready for a singles run. Billy Gunn won it in 99. He was coming off of being with the New Age Outlaws. They were getting ready to send him on a singles run. He failed epically. The Rock buried him in a promo in August, I think, of that year. It was actually pretty funny. Praying to God, my name is Billy. And he destroyed Billy Gunn. Gunn ended up going away, coming back as the one Billy Gunn. But I'm digressing here. King of the Ring was supposed to be something, a stepping stone thing, another thing they used to build talent, to build, just to make somebody stronger. Same way that, a guy goes from nothing to IC belt to climbing up the card. It's just a prop helping people do that. Now, King Booker did this shit with the crown. I don't understand why they do this king shit. I think it's pointless. Unless they're going to make it worth something, then it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, he did earn himself a beating.
He's still the next king. You know what I mean? Like, he's still the king. Why isn't he still called the king? Well, why is it just all of a sudden done?
Yeah, to the point that even in WWE 2K22, Nakamura is not even named Shinsuke. His name is King Nakamura. It's like to that level. I remember Boog started his intros. He used to do King Nakamura, whatever.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
Corbin was king before that. It was King
yeah,
Corbin.
right. And this just seems like it just fizzled out way quicker than those,
Well, there's a bunch of different factors
Yeah,
in
that's
play
what
here.
I'm
They
saying.
they started off with they had Big E on Raw, brought Big E back over. Woods gets hurt. You know what I mean? They had ideas for having the three of them together. Now they have the two of them. They're changing, and all this different shit has happened. At the end of the day, uh, whether or not they're going to call Xavier Woods King Woods or Austin Creed, which is what he goes by on the fucking social media, video game shit. I don't care what they call him. He's annoying no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Now,
No doubt. And no doubt, Matt. And he shouldn't, by the way, he shouldn't go by Austin Creed on the video game thing. A lot of people watch that. He should be Xavier Woods. You know what I mean? It would give him more notoriety in the
WWE doesn't
WWE.
want him doing that shit.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, they don't want him. If you're going to use WWE's name that they gave you, because his real name's Austin in real life. So, and he's into mythology. So he made his last name Creed for that persona. But it's like people that go on OnlyFans. They don't, and WWE's lessened up lately, especially real recently with their third party things that their superstars are allowed to do. But if you were on OnlyFans or something like that and promoting yourself as whatever superstar you are, whatever name that WWE copyrighted, then you're using their intellectual property. Whether or not that's fair or not, that's how they see it. But
I just wish that if they're gonna give me a King Woods angle, they at least continue it until the next king is crowned. That's all I'm saying. Let's show the man some respect.
I don't listen, man.
You know?
I totally agree. If they're gonna do it, first of all, they shouldn't even have the fucking King of the Ring tournament. In my opinion, the only reason they did this shit is because they were going to Saudi Arabia and they needed to have something that, they could crown in Saudi Arabia for those Saudi Arabian fans. So they just had this King of the Ring fucking tournament and Queen's Crown tournament in the middle of the fall when it traditionally was always in like June. So like I feel like it was forced, and then Zelina Vega is just hanging on to it because she's got nothing but an anchor of Carmella hanging her down until she split from her, which I wanted to get to something about that in a minute. And so Vega's keeping the Queen gimmick. How long that's going to last, I don't know. But they dropped it with Woods probably because, to be honest with you, and Woods is good with the voices and he's animated and everything, but he's a character on his own. Making him the king makes him less likable. You know what I mean? That needs to go on somebody that needs the king gimmick to give them some personality, not not somebody like Xavier Woods. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe they were like, well, if we keep having him in this king thing, he's going to come out here in an accent and not be, this isn't going to be the New Day, and that's what we need right now. That might be what they're thinking. But, so Woods beats Butch. Butch attacks Sheamus and Ridge. I really thought that Butch attacking Sheamus and Ridge was an important piece of this. Because it just shows, I don't think it's like teasing a split or anything like that. It just shows how aggressive Butch is. And you could see Butch's aggressiveness throughout this match. Anytime he had the upper hand, he really was laying in some stiff elbows or some stiff knees and shit like that. And his submission holds looked really vicious. So, yeah, I like the way he worked. I just want to see some more of him. And, like you say, I'd like to see him go over a little bit. Later, we get Zayn backstage here. He's asking for a match from Adam Pearce. What do you guys think of how Zayn handled this segment? He ends up having to face McIntyre because Pearce says the next person that walks through the locker room door you will face tonight. It's Drew McIntyre. Zayn ends up acting real scared about this situation he got himself into. And what do you guys think? What were you thinking at this point?
I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like the running away thing.
I'm
I
not
just thought it
talking
was
about the
just
match.
stupid.
I'm not talking about the match. I'm talking about the backstage segment.
Oh,
Just the fact that Zayn was asking for a match and Pierce said, next person out. And then Zayn got scared when he knew it was McIntyre.
I mean, I guess it just
He's a
elevates.
coward.
Hmm.
You know, he's a coward. It just proves even more he's just a coward. And, you know, he acts tough and he talks tough, but when it really comes down to it, he's a coward.
And it's funny in that part how they make the crowd try to hate him even more. Like they hold up cheese, and like you're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, like the land of cheese, and you know,
That cheese is bad.
you know what I mean? And like just he held up the cheese and like, yeah, I hate cheese. Cheese is disgusting. And they started booing, you know, because that's like their thing there. You know, it's like, but yeah.
Well, nobody even understood what he was referencing because he got pinned with a giant mouse trap. Therefore, he is a mouse or a rat, and therefore he would eat cheese. So you're connecting like three dots. The audience isn't going to just do that automatically. So he holds up the cheese, and everybody's just like, "What's that?" And you have a paper plate, a tiny little paper plate with one slice of sandwich cheese. It wasn't even like cheese you put on a cracker or cheese you could just eat by. It was a slice that goes on a sandwich.
Yeah, it was
And
gross.
he obviously just got it from catering.
And I guess
like the cheese, the audience doesn't do anything. And then finally he has to explain, oh, because I was in a trap and blah, 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 cheese.
No, definitely.
Like, wow, what a groan.
But I just thought there was something more to it. Like then and he did say about the mouse trap, and they're making fun of him because of that. But I remember being at a house show in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is obviously the land of chocolate, and he got in the ring and he started saying how much Hershey's chocolate sucks, and you know, I feel like whatever city he's in, he tries to rile you up by like whatever your hometown thing is. Like if you're in St. Louis, it's like Busch, you know, Anheuser beer, whatever. Oh, I hate beer, it's disgusting, or you know, whatever. Like so, he just likes to throw that stuff in. Yeah.
Yeah, the typical heel hometown heat he goes for. I thought that the segment was fun. You know, I thought it was what I was looking for here is just Zayn's acting in here and him playing a punk ass bitch that's afraid of Drew McIntyre and all that. I thought he did that really well, acting like he's a tough guy, wants this match and all that. And then when he finds out it's McIntyre, all the different things he says, and you can just feel the anxiety that he's trying to portray, just with his quick words and what am I going to do? Yeah, well, you know what? It's actually a good idea because if I beat Drew McIntyre, then he's tougher than most everybody on the roster, and then everybody will think I'm the toughest guy. Oh, I should just do that. So I think that when he does that, I think he's pretty funny. So I kind of like that segment. It was quick. It showed us that a reason why this random match is happening. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I enjoy Sami Zayn on the stage.
He is one of their best actors for sure.
Yeah,
so is Adam Pearce, really. You know,
right? But I think Zayn I think almost every time Zayn's on the camera, he hits whatever the hell they give him out of the park. And that's why they have these guys. Like what he was doing at WrestleMania. Not everybody can fucking do that. That jackass shit. Not everybody can do it and sell it the way that he sold everything exactly when he was supposed to, the way he was supposed to, you know. And for someone who's
look, you try taking a bowling ball to the crotch and fake selling that.
But even the hand coming out and all that shit, like he even got on top of Wee Man to let him power slam him. You know, like his reactions and his mannerisms are so. He's just got such a good energy on the screen. He's a really special talent.
And I'm glad you brought up the Wee Man thing too, because that's a perfect example that, you know, if you're not really paying attention to the business and how it works, a lot of the wrestling moves aren't the person that's picking you up that's doing the move. It's the person that's being thrown that's doing the move. And in this case, Wee Man, there's only so much he can do to pick up Sami Zayn. Let's just be honest, because Sami Zayn is a pretty big dude. So Sami Zayn made that look, though, like Wee Man literally picked him up and slammed him. Like Sami Zayn sold that so well that he made Wee Man look like a boss.
He did. He made Wee Man look great. He made the whole Jackass crew look smart instead of looking like a bunch of idiots. You know what I mean? I just really thought that they did that he tonight did a really good job of selling his uneasiness with knowing that he had to face McIntyre at that moment. And then, we'll get to the match later. That was nothing, but it just shows that he does a really good job of displaying the type of character that they want him to be. And he does it well with pride. He's not somebody who's too proud to be a pussy, which is basically what he played tonight. You know what I'm saying? And I think that guys like that are important. You need hands like that can have the chemistry with the Jackass guys to put on a show like that. But then to be in this type of segment and just in a few sentences be able to emit the energy that he does and the chaos that you can just see going on in his head because he knows he's going to have to face Drew McIntyre. So, I don't know. Those are the things I appreciate about Sami Zayn. You got anything else, Brad? We're going to move on to Gunther then.
No, move on. Yeah.
All right. So, Brad, why don't you talk about Gunther and some of the stuff he did with Imperium and NXT real quick? But he ends up debuting here, and then I'll get into his debut. I got to run.
Yeah. So, and Kyle, you watch NXT, right?
Well, I'm trying to catch up. I have seen the last few episodes. Yeah, I watched his last match too, against Braun Breaker. Ooh, that was a good match. I like.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You could tell after that match he was moving up. Like it was just like kind of almost a send off match for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously he's this huge, unstoppable force type of guy, and he looks like trouble. He looks like. I just think. They're going to have a little bit of trouble getting him involved in interesting stories just because of his communication skills. They're not like the worst in the world, but they're not like the best. You know what I mean? They're certainly not anything, that you can hang your hat on. And then, his buddy, who I forget the new name that they call him, honestly. What was it? Ludwig Kaiser. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And Ludwig was, not exactly a great mouthpiece for him either. I mean, when he came out and introduced Gunther, you couldn't even understand him. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, yeah. I think he started mixing in, what was it, German or something? I think he actually started going into another language at one point. I was like, what is he saying?
Look, I know that we're supposed to talk about the match and whatever, and just the present. I think they would have been way better off bringing up the third Imperium guy from NXT and having all of Imperium come in as a trio. I think that would have been a much more effective way to present it rather than just two of them. A much more intimidating way to present it too. Like this German crew is coming in and they're really scary and they're going to kick ass and they all have each other's back. I feel like it took something away with the other Marcel, I think his name is, being left behind in NXT. There's three of them. I don't know how much you know about it, Kyle, but basically, three has become two.
That's the point. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the point. I don't know if you noticed, but they didn't say Imperium once tonight. They actually did not mention Imperium at all. He just introduced Gunther as the ring general. So, at least I don't remember. He could have said Imperium somewhere in that mix of words that I didn't understand.
Kyle?
But I'm pretty sure I didn't hear it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You still hear me?
I'm here.
Brad, are you there?
We might have lost him.
Might have lost him, yeah. We were just talking about Gunther though, and he was saying that
he's
he
trying to he's patching back in. Let me patch him in and
sure.
Shit's kind of pissing me off, to be honest. All right. Shit. What's up, Brad?
Sorry, man. My call just dropped. I don't know if I dropped.
I got to call Kyle back now because I just
All right.
dropped him.
All right.
Just hang on. All right, I got you both back.
All right.
All right. So
Good.
my question for you is that if they would have brought all of them up together, what would they have done? Because they brought, given what they did to, first of all, they introduced him. You can't understand a damn thing this guy's saying.
Yep.
Then he comes out, pretty big entrance for him. Goes against a local talent and totally squashes him. Hitting him with the big clubbing strikes. Finishes
Joe Alonzo.
Joe Alonzo. Hang on.
And Pat was having fun talking about Joe Alonzo, which was kind of funny.
Some Joe Schmo stuff.
That's what I thought when I fucking saw this guy, Joe Alonzo.
Who the hell do you think you are?
So anyway, he finishes him with a power bomb. But had they brought him up with the whole group, rather than just having him squash an enhancement talent, how do you think they introduce him then?
Or grand, much more intimidating thing to have all three of them. I mean, even the name Imperium, that's now gone. I think Gunther also had different entrance music tonight than he normally has. But yeah, it's just such a more intimidating thing to see all three of them as a team. It just gives it a much better look. I mean, do you agree? Am I wrong?
But what are they going to do with them? What do they do with all three of them? Regardless.
Exactly what they're doing now in NXT. Like, you have two that are basically a tag team, and Walter that's an ass kicker, and they're always all by them. Walter's a singles guy, or Gunther, I'm sorry, is a singles guy, and they're kind of all by each other's side. And like, you could have used the other two Imperium guys as a tag team. Like, why not have an extra tag team?
Imperium versus the Bloodline.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
If you're
gonna,
not yet, but yeah,
3-on-3.
Guys, if they're gonna come in as a tag team, they're not going straight to the Bloodline. I don't care what they did in NXT.
They're not.
NXT's developmental. I don't care if they were the best person in NXT ever. They're coming up to the main roster as the bottom of the roster. So, yeah, Los Lotharios may be a good opponent.
It is confusing though when they bring people up and they try to wipe the slate clean, right? Like, okay, you don't know who this person is. They're a new character, whatever. But then they talk about their previous experience, like in Gunther. They're talking about his world
domination.
Title. Exactly. So, like, what does that all matter if you're trying to present a new character that I don't know, that has some new attributes that I don't know about? So another example of that would be with
Raquel.
Raquel, yeah, exactly. Like it, or even with Pete Dunne when they're talking about Butch and all, like people know Butch as this such and such type fighter, and I'm like, no, they don't. Nobody knows who Butch is. Butch is a brand new character. Butch has no history. Butch is a brand new person. If you want to talk about Pete Dunne's history, sure, we'll talk about Pete Dunne's history. But you're trying to tell me this is not Pete Dunne, this is Butch. And it's the same thing with like Gunther now. If you want to tell me that he's not part of Imperium and it's different, well then don't talk about his previous accolades before he shows up.
Well,
they were showing clips of him on NXT on SmackDown tonight.
Well, the thing about when you bring in a guy like that, they put him in the reason they brought him in like that is because they need him to. They're putting him over as a monster, and they can't do that in a tag team. And I don't think they didn't feel that the other guy was ready to have them both come up here and work a tag team style. Like you can, I don't know. I mean,
we know the main attraction is Gunther. The whole point is to get Gunther up here and have him do anything. They obviously don't really care about the other two guys. The other two guys are just there for aesthetic,
Right, but what I'm saying is
Which
you
is the
could have left the other two as a tag team, Gunther as the singles person, but still had another tag team on SmackDown. Why not? Now Matt's point might be right. It probably is. Not ready yet. Whatever. For whatever reason. But just the aesthetic of all three, I think, would have been more powerful tonight than the aesthetic of two.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's exactly why I agree with you. Because if you have that other guy there strictly for aesthetic reasons, then why don't you have all three if they're just there for aesthetic reasons? You know?
Correct.
Now, speaking of aesthetic reasons or aesthetic, something I thought of recently, and I'm gonna forget if I don't say this. I finally placed Butch. I finally figured out who he is, who he's modeled after. Okay, you ready? Butch is supposed
Go
to
for it.
be one of the poker players trying to win a ticket to get on the Titanic.
So he's Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes, one of the people at that
Okay.
table. Now it makes sense. Doesn't he look like that?
Yeah.
So they should have called him Jack then. They should have named him Jack.
Yeah, but that's what
They're
it's.
gonna have to have some character come in and say that they'll never let him go.
Yeah, that's what they should. That would be pretty fucking funny if they did that shit. So yeah, Gunther comes in. I mean, I agree. Could they bring the whole Imperium up? Like when I heard that anybody from Imperium up was coming, I thought they were going to bring the whole package up. I didn't think they would call them Imperium because they just don't do. They always change the names when they come up. To start something new because they don't. It's not. They want you. All right, so I guess to play devil's advocate when you're saying about. So even Big Pool says all three should have came up. Only two, most likely because the third just wasn't developmentally ready or wasn't in the creative plans. That's what I'm thinking there. Sometimes guys aren't ready, but when a guy is ready and they need to move him through, they got to move him through, whether his tag team partner's ready or not. Now what the hell was I just talking about?
Butch on the Titanic?
Now we were talking about Gunther, good idea to bring them all three up. They didn't do that. Whatever. Apparently Gunther's going to be put over as a monster here. He was doing all the heel mannerisms, and I don't know where they're going with this. Because what's he just going to keep squashing enhancement? He's basically SmackDown's Omos right now.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I am excited though because I liked watching him wrestle in NXT. He's lost a lot of weight too, and I think it actually has made his moves look even more powerful and more explosive. That power. Okay, so I was actually just talking about earlier the match between him and Braun Breaker on the last episode of NXT. This new episode or this match that we see here, he does a power bomb that he gave to Braun Breaker, and the difference between Braun Breaker and Joe Alonzo in the way that they sold the power bomb. I thought Joe Alonzo died. I thought he literally was killed right there by Gunther. Gunther literally put this man through the mat and he's dead. So like the power that this guy can have, the way that he moves, he's so big and he can throw people around so easily. I am excited to see Gunther on the main roster and getting in the mix. It's true we have no idea who he's going to be feuding with right away, but like like our great friends the New Day said, this is a new season if you want to call that, and we got a lot of introductions to new characters and new storylines. So it's for the next 2 months it's basically a wait and see. There's two things happening. You either have new characters and new storylines developing and you don't have any idea what's going on, or you have something like Ronda and Charlotte that is that feeds over and continues on the Backlash or another PLE, as they like to call them, premium live event. So that's kind of like what we're going to be seeing for the next month or two. And so we have no idea where a lot of these characters are going. To me, I actually kind of enjoy that. I like the unpredictability and the questions. And so as long as they keep me guessing, I'm cool with that. If they're going to make it predictable, they better make it enjoyable.
I'm excited to talk about this next part too. You know, the next part that came up with the new person.
Heck yeah. Talk about another giant.
Yeah.
Another woman.
Where the hell have you been?
So we got Raquel Gonzalez coming up, and I swear to God, I did a triple take because they said Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah, why? Why, man?
Alliteration. Same thing Kyle said earlier. Makes total sense. It's Vince loves his alliteration.
Yeah, but if they're going to change her in some way, I guess that's the closest they could get to her original name. I don't know.
It almost
Why do they do anything?
But I even said this earlier. I wouldn't rule out the fact that they just fucked up and said the wrong name because they're so similar.
I can't wait to watch it on playback and see what I think it's Kayla Braxton was there, right? She was interviewing her.
Yeah.
Man, Raquel and Kayla, what a size difference between them, right? Raquel was towered over her. That was perfect. I loved it.
I actually can tell you something about she's not that much taller than her. There's a trick that they do where they have Schreiber spread her legs.
Camera angle.
Yeah, the camera angle, and they have the interviewer spread their legs. So it makes them look shorter. And then they have just the way that the angle is, it makes her look so much taller. Then the Lotharios come in and bother her. They say a bunch of shit in Spanish. And she basically says, "Get the hell away from me" in Spanish.
They asked her for a kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like the thing about this woman is you could tell instantly she's got a lot of charisma. I mean, if you watch NXT, you know that. But she's got a lot of good mic skills and a lot of charisma, and she's very comfortable. Like the polar opposite of like what you saw with the German guy, Kaiser, whatever the hell his name was. I mean, this is very, very a person who's very comfortable in her own skin. She's really dynamic. She's fun to listen to talk. I think she's freaking awesome, man.
Brett, hang on a second.
And I want more.
Talk a little bit more about Raquel and her NXT for our listeners who don't know much about her.
Yeah, she's big, she's strong, she's powerful. I mean, look, Kayla is like 4'10". I don't think I think Kayla is extremely little anyway. But yeah, no, she was definitely towering over. But she is, when she comes in, like her thing in her ring entrance is like this back flex where you can see like her back muscles and everything. I don't know if she'll do that on SmackDown, but the point is she's a power woman. She's almost like a more feminine Tamina type with much more personality and much more likability. Maybe that's not a good comparison, but something kind of like that. But very, very strong, and just she could pick women, a Zelina Vega type. She could pick someone up, hold her over your head, power bomb you. A lot of like Rhea Ripley type of moves. That sort of skill set, and just awesome. I think this woman's going to be potentially a champion.
Yeah, she's a giant, no doubt, and she's got skills. The name change thing I was going to say is that part of it is that they want a name for they consider it two different audiences, and they don't necessarily want you to. They want you to basically, when they move from NXT to the main roster, they want to see that as like a change, right? They're growing up, so they grew up and changed their name, but they still have this history. Same as like. The Rock is The Rock. He's a wrestler, but they bring up the fact that he's a third-generation superstar. Orton's father was a wrestler, but in kayfabe, he's his character. But they selectively bring up these parts of people's past that are relevant to the story that they're telling. So they want you to know the good things they did, but they want you to see that was what they did at that level as that character. Now this is this character doing.
So Matt, are you telling me that if, for instance, LA Knight gets called up, he's no longer LA Knight, he's just going to be like Knight or New York Knight or something?
It depends. I mean, every case is different because we've seen people come up with the same name. You know, um,
Yeah, and
now that what
that's
I
really just where I have my gripe. I don't mind them giving new names and new characters. I prefer it. I like changes. I like evolution. I love it actually,
and
but
that's all it
I
is.
just don't like if you're gonna evolve and have somebody change, don't make so many references that show a certain past that you also are um, denying in other conversations. Like there's some back and forth where like sometimes they acknowledge it and then sometimes they deny it. So I just like more consistency. I guess that's the word I'm looking for.
Oh, we have to change it from Gonzalez to Rodriguez. Like that's a big deal, you know.
Right. Like that's a whole new character now.
I would understand more if just if she was just Raquel, just Raquel.
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule that out of that eventually being her name. But think about it this way: if you're designing merchandise and your T-shirts and whatever, having R and R, you can do a lot of things with that. RG
Yeah, that
is
it
different.
helps people remember the name too.
Yeah, it's a
The
Raquel
the
Rodriguez.
double
It
letter.
rolls off the tongue. People are gonna, the mainstream fans are gonna, the casual fans are gonna remember better. So that's part of it. There's so many different aspects to it, and
Now
then
she was
there's people
if
that
I remember I'm sorry, go ahead.
there's people that'll be like, why'd they do this to this person? They there's no way they wanted them to do that. Why did they treat people this way and blah blah blah? How does anybody who says that know what the actual wrestler, the superstar, whatever you want to call him, actually wants? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if it's just what they fucking want to do because it's their job? I was saying this earlier when we were talking, but I see so much like, oh, they made this guy lose 4 weeks in a row. They must hate him. He must hate working there. Well, he probably doesn't because they pay him very well, and he's probably, you know, just because he's losing on TV all the time, it's just a story that they're in. There, there's a million other things that WWE offers the wrestlers, and there's a million other things that the wrestlers do, and it's not just about whether they're winning and losing on TV. And we don't. I think it's irresponsible for anybody on a podcast or anything to be saying they're treating this guy a certain way because you don't know what the fuck that person wants, and they're being handsomely rewarded for it. So maybe they're okay getting their paycheck and doing whatever they're told.
Right. And you're right, Matt. And Triple H came out today and said not one wrestler on the main roster makes less than $250,000 a year. And that's probably the lowest person on the roster, like T-Bar. So
he probably makes more than that. The 250 is probably like the minimum guarantee you make just for showing up and doing nothing. Like,
so Drew Gulak's making 250.
Yeah, at least, and he got involved in that video game. He's making money off of that. So, like, even a guy like Drew Gulak, who they don't utilize on TV and probably doesn't make as much money as he could if he was utilized on TV, they fucking feature him as the tutorial guy in this video game, and he's getting royalty money out of that. So, whoever negotiated that deal for him, you know what I mean? It's a good deal for him. People talk shit about Titus O'Neil. He's not a fucking wrestler anymore. He's the ambassador. He goes and does like charity shit for the WWE, you know? And he's
No doubt.
happy doing it. Like there's just a lot of like people say this about the next thing we're about to get into, which I actually thought was the best segment of the night. Say about Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, like, why are they doing this to him? Why would they do this to Riddick Moss? Maybe Riddick Moss is happy to be making whatever the fuck he's making on the main roster and working with a pro like Corbin and getting featured on television all the time. Even if he has to tell stupid jokes, that's what he's supposed to do so people don't like him. And long term, this whole thing has played out pretty well because we saw a turn tonight. Finally.
Yeah, people were into him too, man. People were excited about him.
Sure.
It got me fired up. The stadium he was white hot coming out of that because I think that's something that we were all waiting for. We all wanted. didn't we?
Do you guys know what madcap means, by the way? It
Go
means
for it.
amusingly eccentric. That's its definition. So
Yeah.
when they picked that name for a reason, they changed that because they really wanted to build that jokester character, and I feel like that's a good name. Plus, you have the alliteration again, the Madcap Boss. They
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. But it's a good it's a good name instead of Riddick Moss, and Riddick sounds a little bit more aggressive, and if they want him to come in as like some guy telling jokes, and I thought that was a good name change. I don't know, I was happy with it.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem. I mean, people, I just thought it was great when, Corbin saying all he cares about is winning the battle royal. Then he comes out, he actually cracks a couple funny jokes. Corbin doesn't like it. And then they start, but he tells Corbin he's dressing like somebody coming from a hula party or something like that. I didn't get the exact quote, but and then they just start brawling. And they each get the better of each other, but eventually Madcap, gets the upper hand, slams Corbin across the announce table a few times, brings him back in the ring, and then clotheslines him out back to the front. Destroys the happy time set. So maybe we won't see happy time again, but while this was all happening, the crowd was loving everything Madcap was saying to him. And when they were brawling, he was white hot after that. When he discharged Corbin from the ring, that place was a fever pitch. That was as loud as it was all night. What'd you guys feel about this?
Oh yeah, they were riled up. They were chanting along, and once Madcap went crazy, they were cheering him on. There was a really funny spot I just had to point out where Madcap chases Corbin back into the ring, and Corbin's hurt and he's on the ground, and he grabs one of the balloons that says "Congrats" tied to the ropes. And he grabs one of the balloons and he tries to hit Madcap in the face with the balloon, and I thought that was hilarious. Like, you're trying to attack somebody with the balloon, probably the
Yeah.
smartest thing besides like a pillow that you could have hurt somebody with. I
It
just
was
thought that was really
funny.
funny.
Yeah, you're
a
right.
little bit of comedy in there. Corbin is very smart. He's a very smart wrestler. He does a lot of little things. If you really watch him, and the acting from both of these guys in this segment was top notch. Both of them, like between Corbin getting real serious, not reacting to the jokes, and really selling that side of it, and then having Madcap tell that joke that insulted Happy, and he finally just cracks up and starts going. He's on the ground, and man, I love when he does that. And I think that's where he got the crowd when he did that joke, and it completely insulted Happy, and he did that laugh. I think that's when he finally won that crowd, and then the two of them started fighting, and it was on after that.
Yeah, that might have been when he got him completely, but you could feel it as everything was unfolding, like people, little by little getting behind Madcap. And I agree that the acting by both of them was so good. Like Corbin, I just think that everybody who's criticized this whole package over the whole time that it's been together, it's really paying off now. It's really paying off for Moss. Like, now he's gonna have a program with Corbin, who's a good worker. He just had a very good match with McIntyre at WrestleMania, and he just got some serious freaking babyface heat. You know what I mean? Coming out of there, rubbing against somebody like Corbin, who everybody wants to see get his ass kicked. Go ahead, Brad.
No, yeah, you're right, Matt. Absolutely, all those points, and it was really funny too. Like, the balloons were so sad. Like, obviously, like even the balloons on the corner of the ring, they were half deflated, and they were
the grass was half deflated.
Yeah, everything was so sad, and that was a really great segment, as Matt had said. That was just, the whole thing was perfect. It was well done. It was so smart, and Madcap just did such a great job, and Corbin did a great job, and it was, I guess we're getting this match at Backlash, right?
Yeah, we got to. It's got to be a
Yeah.
backlash. I mean, I think it'll be good, and then we could see. I mean, where do you think Madcap goes from here?
Well, they
I'm
might give
thinking
him
he
the
probably
50-50
loses.
before then. Yeah, they might give like Corbin a win and then Madcap a win and then the tiebreakers at Backlash. I don't know. That might happen.
Yeah, that might happen. I agree.
Yeah, maybe you'll see him. You'll see him go on SmackDown a couple times, and then they'll have a rubber match on at Backlash, but it'll be some kind of stipulated match, like
Right, an elevated match, right? Like with tables or something exactly.
no hold bar.
Yeah, I'm down for that for sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, and then that way you put Madcap in a match like that, and it'll really put him over even bigger.
Also, like Corbin was so funny when he was like acting like he's his boss. He's like, "Tell me a joke, like your job's on the line because it is." Like, what's his job to be like standing next to him? Like, you know, what I mean? It was just funny. Like, it's not your job, dude. Like to be,
Right?
Yeah, like he was his boss. It was really funny.
That's what made it so great, though. You got Corbin there being an arrogant prick, and just everything he said made you want to see his ass kick, get his ass kicked even more, and in typical Corbin fashion. So then when Madcap was disagreeing with him, just the crowd getting with it and realizing what was happening was really, it's just really well done. I was really glad to see this happen tonight because it was something that when it was, happy times usually something where I'm like, okay, time to go to the bathroom and whatever. And I watched it. I'm like, and I had something to do that I was going to take a break for when happy time came on. I was going to get caught up. I was like, I got to watch this one because I think something's going to happen. And finally we got the turn, and I just thought it was so well acted by both guys. And I think it's a great thing for Madcap Moss to have been with Corbin all this time. Now he gets to fight against him. It's a good start for him. And then he can move into, some sort of singles thing. So that's where I was going with that. Where do you think after he gets done with Corbin, where do you see him fitting on the card?
Jinder Mahal. Sorry, I just only because Jinder Mahal was coming up and like backstage after this. I just had to throw my name out there because he just somehow gets in the mix with everything. I don't think he's gonna fight Jinder Mahal though. I was just joking.
I think you could put him anywhere. I think you could maybe team him up with someone like a Shinsuke type. You can do a lot of different things with Madcap,
Well, Shinsuke is going to have to do some single stuff right now, so I mean, wouldn't be a bad time for those two to just have a couple a match or two, or
Well, if they're
No,
both
actually create a tag team with Shinsuke and Madcap. Or
that's what I was thinking. You got two baby faces there. Nakamura's tag team partners just had surgery, and I'm waiting for a cameo from him. But Shinsuke doesn't have a partner. Madcap's
and they
another
could
baby
face the Usos for fun.
Yeah, which speaking of the Usos, if the Usos are even still champions, but we'll get to that. That was the last segment tonight.
And something about Madcap, like, I don't know why, man, something about Madcap feels more significant than just like mid-Carter guy who like kind of just is around. But I don't know, something about him like makes me think he could be like, yeah, maybe not a top guy, but he's got a lot of charisma. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like he could be like, like that Finn Balor spot against Roman. I'm not saying he's going to face Roman. I'm just saying like how Finn Balor got that one pay-per-view main event match. Like, I feel like Madcap could eventually get there. I really do. Maybe I'm wrong, but
a little bit of the it factor. No, you're right, and I feel like it's almost like not the same way as Boogs, where Boogs is over with the crowd with what he does with his entrance and the guitar, but in the same way that they both have an it factor charisma. I could see Madcap doing commercials. Those commercials between him and Happy Corbin. I don't know if you've seen those, but I think there's like a sticker.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And there's excellent acting in there, and I think Madcap is great with that kind of stuff. I could see him getting. It would be fun. This is ridiculous, but you could have a battle of the suspenders, and he could fight Butch.
Very interesting.
Anyways,
Yeah, I mean, I think I see him in the mid card. You know, he's gonna start out as babyface. So, like, if he's gonna eventually be in like the picture for a belt, like the IC title, we'd have to wait for somebody probably to get it off of Ricochet. Because he's not gonna face.
well, that's gonna be Jinder.
He-
That's the next segment where they
Yeah.
go backstage with Jinder asking for a challenge to the
Right.
Intercontinental Championship. I was like, really? This is happening?
Yeah. So we next segment we're backstage. We got Jinder Mahal and Shanky, begging Pierce, talking Pierce into fighting Ricochet for the IC belt. Pierce is reluctant to do it. And then while this is happening, Ronda Rousey comes in, says, "What do you think about having the I Quit match?" He says, "We'll find out tomorrow." So we said that earlier. But anyway, we have Jinder Mahal challenging for the IC belt. Eventually, he's granted his wish, and we're going to see that match next week. What do you guys think we'll see in that match?
You know, look, I wouldn't be shocked if Jinder won it, and I'll tell you why. Hulk Hogan last week or the week before said he thinks Jinder Mahal can be the next big thing. Did you hear this?
Jinder Mahal's been champion before.
You know what?
No, I know,
people
but
say
but
that
like
a
Hulk
lot.
Hogan
I've
said
heard
it last
a lot
week.
of different people say that.
Yeah, but
I didn't hear it about Hulk Hogan, but I have heard a lot of people say that. But I think people have been saying that for a long time about him. And like Matt said, he's had his championship run. And I don't know if he's gonna have a big title championship run again. I don't know.
I don't see it happening either. I think that like there was a reason they gave him the title at that time. It didn't really work. He's never going back up to the top. He could win an IC belt, you know what I mean? And certainly if it's a way to get him back on television because he really hasn't done anything besides being a random tag team match with like Cesaro or something like that. But you know, I think they're just trying to heat Ricochet up here and get him some good wins while he has the belt. And Mahal was somebody who he did say that he wanted to face. He likes to work.
I'm down
with.
for the match. They're both great workers, both. And you have a little bit of a big man, small man kind
Right.
of matchup because Jinder, he's a big dude.
Well, that's the best part.
So that's going to be fun.
That's the best part about
Best
it is
of
that
styles.
they got the clash.
Yeah.
Clash of archetypes there. You got
Yeah.
the ultimate cruiser, athletic, smaller Ricochet versus a bigger, fighter style and Jinder Mahal. So big against smalls always look good. In my opinion.
I just don't know how many matches they might have. Is he getting a title shot right away, or is he getting a title contenders match right away?
It's a title shot, which is what it should be. This title contender shit is so fucking stupid. The only reason they say that is so it's not a title match. Just call it a non-title match.
It doesn't matter anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan lose their contenders match or whatever, and then they get a title shot. What is that?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's not even a match that if you win or lose, it determines whether you're the number one contender. All it means is that it's a match against the champions, but they're calling it a champions contender match so that you don't get confused and think it's a championship match. But if they just called it a non-championship match, I would realize that.
Why just call it a match, and then if somebody says it's for the championship, no,
half the fucking what? I mean, everybody. I don't know anybody that totally understands anytime they say championship contenders match, like whatever forum I'm in or whatever the hell I listen to later, somebody's like, "What the fuck is a championship contenders match?" And what significance does it have? Because when you say that, it sounds important. Then the team loses, and they still get a title shot anyway, just for asking for it. Just say it's a match.
Not to mention, you're right, and not to mention Jimmy Smith was saying for the championship when Rhea Ripley was pinning Sasha.
Yeah, we could see new champions, but the titles aren't even on the line. So every single time there's any kind of pin attempt, it's gotta be it. That's what he says every time. That's gotta be it. And like in a way that interrupts everybody else. It's
Yeah.
not gonna be it. You know,
Noticed that for a long time. And it's not every pin attempt. To be fair, Matt, it's after a somewhat significant move.
any slam that
right. Yeah,
that then any kind of high impact thing that then results in a cover. It's got to be it.
does it all the time. Every time, Jimmy Smith. If you notice, it's kind of funny.
I mean, yeah, not every time that any pin attempt happens. I was a little bit indulging there, but definitely more than it needs to be. And annoying. Speaking of Raw announcers, while we're on the topic, Corey Graves and Carmella just got married, I think yesterday or the day before. That's part of the reason why Carmella and Vega split, so they can send Vega on her singles run. Whatever that's going to result in, I don't know. But also because Carmella is going to be off TV a little bit on her honeymoon with Corey. And that's obviously taking Corey off of the announced team. And he will be replaced by Jerry the King Lawler. So he'll be back for the next couple of weeks on Raw to do color commentary. I don't know what that's going to sound like because I know Jerry the King Lawler doesn't follow the product at all. You could tell in the pre-shows for WrestleMania. But I don't know. I like hearing the King's voice. So,
but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's going to be great.
What was the next segment after this, Matt?
So we get a Jinder Mahal thing. We find out that his match is happening next week. IC title belt, good for them. Ronda's, we're going to wait till tomorrow to find out about the I Quit match. And then we get McIntyre coming out here to a big pop. And this is just a total domination by McIntyre. Comes out, he just destroys Zayn. He hits him with a couple overhead release belly-to-belly suplexes in the ring, takes him outside, picks him up, drops him on the barricade, beats him over the table a couple times. And he's just, there might have been like 5 seconds in this match where Zayn sustained any kind of offense, and McIntyre just powered right through it, took over. At one point, they're at the ringside area, he gets Zayn back in the ring. Zayn, being the veteran heel that he is, rolls all the way through, tries to get away from McIntyre by just walking backstage. The count gets all the way up to 9. McIntyre exits the ring, chases down Zayn, runs him the hell over right in front of the gorilla position, throws him on his shoulder, hauls him back down to the ring, throws him in there, sets up for the Claymore. Sammy ducks the Claymore, he escapes through the crowd, ends up getting counted out there. And they keep showing him in the crowd. It was really weird the way they kept showing him in the crowd there, like hiding. But but Drew just totally destroyed him. And now they set up a rematch next week, so we're going to see Drew dominate Zayn again in a different way. Because we all know Drew McIntyre doesn't lose.
Yep.
I mean, he hasn't lost. I haven't seen him lose in such a long time. I looked it up. He has the most wins on the roster, like in the last year, by miles. If you go, there's a website that keeps track of all the house shows results and all the fucking SmackDown, Raw, paper. This motherfucker has like 1 million wins. He has.
Well, you guys continue the end of this. I'm gonna look that up.
All right, are you staying on the line?
Yeah. I'm just gonna look up his win-loss record and when the last time he lost it.
Yeah, go ahead and look that up. So, what do you think about this match and the way they presented McIntyre here, Kyle and Zayn, and where do you think they're going?
It's fun, you know. This is kind of I think it's called a get me over match, where you have two characters that don't really have storylines that'll be involved for a long time. They're just kind of continuing their characters on for a match or two until they get into a serious feud or a serious storyline. So it was a lot of fun. You get to see Sami Zayn be crazy and get the crap kicked out of him because he's a great seller. So I always enjoy watching him sell. And then you get to see him be the biggest coward ever by purposely trying to run out of the ring and get counted out And I thought it was funny that Drew McIntyre caught on to it at some point, and he was like, "Wait!" And then he goes out of the ring and grabs Sammy and drags him back into the ring so he can't get counted out. I thought that was great, so you can continue to punish him, And I love watching Sammy get punished, and so it was enjoyable from that aspect. And then, of course, Drew is just a monster, and it's fun to watch him beat up on people. So you get to see Drew's entrance. That's one of the best entrances out there. That always gets the crowd pumped. So you got the big old sword, of course, that everybody loves seeing, and yeah, it's just enjoyable. It's fun. There's really nothing to talk about storyline wise. I don't think these two characters are going to be feuding for the next 2 months or having a major fight at Backlash. They might have another match or two, but like I said, I think this is just kind of just pass over a little bit of time until the two of them can get on something. And by the way, speaking of moving on, real quick, I don't want to get into a big conversation about it, but I don't think Drew's going to be facing Roman anytime soon for a title or for serious feud. I don't think that feud's starting for another couple months. I think that's going to be built in some time, especially now that we'll hear about what Roman said about the bloodline and what their ambitions are for the future. So I just wanted to point that out with Drew because I don't think this means in a week or two he's going to start feuding with Roman. I think in a week or two he starts feuding with somebody else, not named Sami Zayn. But it was fun either way.
I think
Okay, so
I think they're heating up Drew here and just putting him over more than he is. Putting over Zayn's heel character more, which is he's already as over as he needs to be there. And I'll let you go, Brad, here too, because I'm looking at Internet Wrestling Database, and Drew McIntyre's got a lot of wins last year.
well, yeah. When you're talking about TV losses, though, the last TV loss that he lost to um, uh, Big E. He lost to Big E at Crown Jewel, October of 21,
That's
which I
not
don't even
TV.
remember. Crown Jewel?
No, I'm saying that's a premium live event. That's not broadcast.
No, but I mean in a broadcasted event. I'm sorry.
I get it. I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying that was a pay-per-view. Like, he doesn't lose on SmackDown. The only losses I'm seeing here are Survivor Series, the Crown Jewel one you're talking about.
He lost to Sheamus.
Which, Crown Jewel, he's never going to lose, or he's never going to win because they're not going to change the titles hands down there.
He lost to Sheamus on Raw.
When the hell was that?
It was. I will tell you. I moved my place, but he did lose to Sheamus. He lost to Sheamus on Raw. Oh gosh, I could tell you.
I see it. Monday Night Raw, he lost to Sheamus
September 6th.
via pin on September 6th. Okay.
Yep.
That's fine. It doesn't really fucking matter because the rest of the year he's winning almost. Basically, when you look at this thing, out of 20 matches, there's like one that he's losing. So 19-1 all year long. But
he lost to Riddle as well on Monday Night Raw back in June of 21. That was the one before that.
So we put Riddle over. And who that?
Oh, excuse me.
It doesn't tell
he
us.
He lost to Veer on Monday Night Raw by disqualification in July of 2021. Regardless.
Yeah, see, I don't give a fuck about DQs though. Like, even the Riddle match, like, it doesn't say here whether Orton was involved in that or what happened.
Right.
I'm just saying in general, he's not he's a protected guy. He's winning a lot of matches. He's on the dark match almost every time. So whatever. So McIntyre destroys Zayn. They're gonna rematch next week. I think they're just heating up McIntyre for an eventual feud with Roman, but they got to heat him up good. They had to have him kick Zayn's ass, kick somebody else's ass to make it credible, So I don't know. This isn't something I can see extending to like Backlash. So I don't know where, you got to remember that pay-per-view is only a few weeks away now. I don't know whether if they're going to take this to Backlash or if they're both going to have something different. Who the hell knows? But any other thoughts on Drew and Zane, Kyle, or Brad?
No, I'm good.
No, not really. I just really enjoyed at the end of this match. They went to commercial and Pat McAfee goes, "What?" Like Stone Cold. He's got a really good Stone Cold impression. In fact, he does really good impressions in general. He does like good impressions of The Rock too. But yeah, he just like at the end of this match, they're about to go to commercial. He goes, "What?" I just loved it.
Funny.
All right, up next we got
Where the hell have you been?
Lacey Evans in a vignette. I thought this vignette, number one, hearing that Lacey Evans, hearing the rumors that she may be on SmackDown tonight, making her return, didn't really get me that excited. A little bit more excited to see somebody like Bayley, who's been a healthy scratch lately. Asuka, somebody like that. Instead, we get Lacey Evans return. And in fact, I'll even throw in Alexa Bliss. I'd rather see that. We get Lacey Evans. Wasn't a huge fan of her original character. It comes back tonight and actually has a decent vignette. She comes in here. She describes her childhood as being very tumultuous. Describes how her mother had to take her, separate her from her father. Her and her sisters were moving around, on the move, all throughout her childhood, but that didn't break her. That's just something she overcame, made her stronger, and she may not have all the gifts that all the other WWE female superstars have, but what she does have is the ability to overcome obstacles and the things that make the WWE current women superstars what they are aren't great enough to beat her. In not so many words is what she's saying, and that we're told her story will continue next week. Did this story get you intrigued to hear about what's next week? Brad.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and jump in there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
No, go ahead. Yeah, look, to me, it was like it was interesting. It definitely made you feel invested in her. That's really what I got from it.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Kyle, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was, that it was very heavily babyface oriented, and so really trying to get her over with the crowd. And I think they did a great job. I have to commend them. It's great vignette. When you have somebody in a military uniform, it's always going to get over with the crowd. So that really, helps as far as her babyface appearance goes. So I appreciated them doing that. And I liked the way that she was saying, other wrestlers, these other women wrestlers have had much more opportunities in their life and much more opportunities in their wrestling career. And I have not had those opportunities. But I'm still gonna be better than them. I really like that angle and that attitude. That's also a pretty good babyface angle to go as well. The crowd always appreciates the underdog, the person that didn't have it as good. So that was a really nice angle too. It was a good promo. It does excite me to see where they're gonna go with her character from here and who she's gonna start feuding with. I think she does get back into a feud with Charlotte eventually, but it might be a little bit further down the road, of course, because Charlotte and Ronda have to finish their feud. Oh, hopefully they finish it quicker, sooner rather than later. But I think that might be the first person. Well, not the first, but the second person she feuds with is Charlotte. I don't know who she'll immediately feud with though.
I think that they're doing the vignettes right now for a reason because they want her to feud with somebody big. Bring her back now. Can't feud with Charlotte because Ronda's already involved with that, unfortunately. So you do these vignettes to get the crowd invested in her, to get fans actually liking her. Because like I said, I didn't give a damn that she was returning tonight. I didn't think anything exciting could happen. But when I saw her vignette, okay, and she describes how she's a caring mother and daughter of a Marine and all this stuff, and gains your sympathy in a different, totally different, completely different way than she was doing before she went away. Today, I actually felt like, man, I kind of feel sorry for this chick. I kind of want to see her like get hers. You know what I mean?
That's a heartfelt story she told. That was very emotional. Like it got
Yeah,
me going a little bit. I was
I
like,
liked it.
wow, okay. I mean, I didn't know those things about her past.
Way
So
better
that
than,
that was emotional.
yeah. I thought that it was, and then they baby faced it up. They, made her appear, sympathetic character, underdog, daughter of a Marine, mother, someone who went through all these struggles to get where she's at. So I thought that way of bringing her back, because a lot of it's like, we think about Lacey Evans. We were talking about this earlier, Kyle. We think of the characters that we knew before, and that doesn't excite us to see them again. But on one hand, they probably went away for a reason, you know, like, and what I mean by that is that character went away for a reason, not the person. And so when they come back, like none of us ever expect, like, oh, I can't wait to see what iteration of Lacey Evans we're going to see. But I like this iteration of Lacey Evans. But whenever we know that a talent is coming back, we always associate them with what they were doing, and we never think maybe they'll be doing something different. And I think that's something that I got caught up in, and not caring at all that she was going to be on the show, and I shouldn't have, because they did a good job with this vignette. But it's definitely something I think that I do, and I think a lot of wrestling fans do. Somebody goes away, you know, with whatever gimmick, and we look back on it, we're like, we don't need that, but we don't even, comprehend that part of the reason they're away is to work on something new that maybe we will like. So
Yeah, nostalgia plays a major role in wrestling in general. That I mean, think about everybody's punishers. Everybody's finishers these days is somebody else's finisher from the past, just with a different name, right? Like in most cases, we're paying homage by doing these moves where there's callbacks constantly. Just look at WrestleMania. The best segments were from Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's 57 years old, right? And even in this segment with Vince McMahon coming back, and we had Triple H there, and they always have the Hall of Fame presentation during WrestleMania. So wrestling in general it really has a lot of nostalgia built into it. So that we do that as wrestling fans, is we think that we wax ecstatic, or think nostalgically about these characters like Lacey Evans, where we're like, wow, I really hated Lacey's character before, which I was supposed to, but then again, even though I was supposed to hate her, I just legit didn't like her character at all. Now that she's got a new character, I have to remove the nostalgia of that old character and try to start looking at it from a different, fresh angle. Which is also confusing, because then we were talking about earlier about these NXT people that are brought up where their name has changed slightly, but we still have to remember who their past character was. So it's a weird dynamic, and that's where the inconsistency is. But I do like this just kind of swap 180 character change. It really makes you just kind of forget what you knew about her.
yeah, on the NXT, the way I kind of, because I know what you're saying about they come from NXT and then their names change, but we still, I kind of try to view the NXT transition as more of an evolution, like you were saying earlier, or growth. Whereas when somebody's, returning or away for a while and re-debuting, whatever, that's more of a, they've gone away to learn something new, and more,
Yeah.
they're going away to change. There's an old saying in wrestling: when it's not working out, leave for a little bit and learn a new hold and come back. And
hmm
so
Go to
sometimes,
Japan. No, kidding.
well, sometimes they do, but like a lot of
Yeah.
times when gimmicks aren't working out or something like that, they'll just, you take some time off, figure out something else that talent can get themselves into. And in this case, I like that they brought her back as a baby face. I think the big thing that, like, for me, what I appreciated about this episode is that I like the way they brought Lacey Evans back. I like the way that they portrayed Raquel as a giant. You know what I mean? I like the way that Gunther kind of destroyed the person that he was with. I like the madcap turn. Like those little pieces of things I thought were done really well.
Some great character development and storytelling on this episode.
Yeah.
That's what I did like about it. Yeah.
Some seeds planted for some new things. Pretty heavy seeds planted in the last segment. We're almost there. And even in the next segment, we got some foreshadowing, some seeds planted where we have Liv Morgan taking on Rhea Ripley. I'm sorry, Liv Morgan taking on Sasha Banks. Liv Morgan's currently Rhea Ripley's tag team partner. At the time, they lost on Raw in the aforementioned championship contenders match, but then begged Sonya Deville for a title match and will be facing Sasha and Naomi on Monday Night Raw for the belts. This was a pretty decent match with the two ladies. I'm not going to get into full detail about it. The match ends with Sasha going for a superplex on Liv. She nails the superplex, but Liv rolls through and comes away with an upset victory. Commentary's putting it over as the biggest victory in her career. But before the match, she's asked a question, and she's telling the interviewer, we're gonna come out, me and Rhea, we're gonna come out on Monday as new tag team champions. And she's asked, where is Rhea? Is Rhea here? And she's like, oh, no, Rhea's not here, but we're gonna win. And so, on Monday we saw Rhea leave her in the ring. And then we saw her really not that excited when she told her they had the championship opportunity. Rhea's not there tonight, where Liv is facing Sasha Banks in a singles match, and Naomi's at ringside doing commentary. Liv ends up pulling out the win, trying to trick us into thinking that there may be a title change on Raw. Of course, anything can happen in wrestling, but moreover here, the story is dissension between Liv and Rhea and a future imminent turn of Rhea. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Rhea's never been a heel, right? Ever, right?
I don't think
I don't think she's ever been one.
I thought she was before she got to WWE.
But not in WWE. I think it's
Not on the
yeah, I
main
think
roster.
that's
Not on the main roster. No, I don't.
Yeah, she never has been. And and the funny thing is, like, almost more than anyone, she looks like she should be a heel. You know what I mean? Like, she's got that scary look with the spikes and all this stuff going on, and it's just kind of weird that she never has been. It's definitely time for that. And even when Liv had said backstage, like, they said, well, where's your tag team partner? And she was like, well, she's not here tonight. But you know what I mean? It was like almost like kind of like a jerky thing that she wasn't there. Like, oh, why isn't she there? You know what I mean? Like, I guess she's not a good friend type of thing. It was just implied.
That's what I was just saying. She was asked, is Rhea here tonight? And Liv was kind of like, no.
Right, which clues you in that's coming. Yeah.
So it's been rumored, for anybody who doesn't know, Edge has this dark faction he's got going on, a heel faction on Raw. And the rumored members to be flanking him soon are Rhea Ripley and Tommaso Ciampa. Another name I've heard is T-Bar. But I'll tell you what, I'd be excited. I think if Finn Balor loses the U.S. title, he should turn heel and join that group. But
yeah,
because right now, I mean, you put
the Demon, the Demon joins that group.
I mean, because my thing is, you got Edge in there, who's basically, in the twilight of his career. He doesn't have a million matches left in him. Damian Priest is clearly the workhorse right now. You bring in Ciampa, he's going to be a workhorse. You need somebody with some legitimacy. Finn Balor's been a Universal Champion. Put him in there. He can play a heel. He can play a demon or whatever the hell. Because the thing about the Edge faction thing is it feels so forced. It just, I like factions. I don't like factions that just dominate everything and just like every match they're in, somebody else from the faction's messing everything up and you just can't get over on them. But at the same time, it just feels like everything they're doing is very forced. At the same time, I've said Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss is a stupid act, and I loved the way that it culminated tonight. So things take time. But what do you guys think about the faction and Rhea joining it and all that stuff?
Yeah, I just don't know how Rhea as a female wrestler incorporates in, other than like Edge just standing ringside for some of her matches, or Damian Priest is ringside. Like I don't understand how it incorporates in unless you're going to get more women in it.
How you, Kyle?
Well, the one thing that I guess shouldn't matter because they break the rules all the time, but she's on SmackDown, right? And they're on Raw. Or wait, no, I'm sorry. Liv and Rhea are normally on Raw, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so Liv came to SmackDown today to do
Yes.
the fight, the match today. Yeah, so I don't know, like I'd be okay with seeing her join. I'd be okay with seeing Tommaso join. But I mean, Brad, I agree with you. You were just saying about the whole she's being a woman thing, and they would have to have some kind of other woman joining or some uh, opposing group that had a woman in it as well that they could feud against, so she could have a woman to fight in a match. So I kind of see your point there. I don't know. Like I think this whole faction is a slow burn. I think that's why it's so. I think it's purposely. Um, I feel like there's a lack of information on purpose. It's too because there is a slow burn, and we're gonna find out eventually. But it's because it's a heel faction. I think they don't want to tell you anything real quick because they want to build the heat, and it just makes you hate them that much more. Like, wait, why is this faction joining? They haven't explained anything to us. Edge, what are you doing? We love you, man. You're one of the biggest baby faces ever, and now you just did a 180 for no reason. Why are you doing this? And I think that actually the whole reason why they haven't told us much is because it really helps build that heat. I think it's just we're getting played in a sense. So I'm excited to see where it goes, but I don't think we're gonna have a, a very big explanation for a little while. To be honest, I think it's a slow burn when it comes to this faction.
Yeah, I would have really.
Go ahead.
It needs an opposing faction too, though. You know.
I would have really liked to see what's her name. Gunther had joined Edge's faction on Raw. Like, I'm bringing in this monster, or Veer. You know what I mean? Which may be a possibility still, Veer joining it. I don't know. But I just think that would have made more sense. Like, yeah, we're bringing in these two German guys. They're real militant. You know, they're going to help us. I don't know. I think it would have made more sense, but who knows?
I mean, they have a plan for Beer wouldn't make sense in there. He's playing his character's supposed to be like a savage out of the wild. And
If you bring in a savage to kill people,
right? But the purpose of this feud is this faction is dark. It's like demonic and gothic, and it's Edge taking people that were stuck in a certain, you know, in a tag team that wasn't getting them anywhere, or in a gimmick, or in a certain thing that they were going backwards in, and they're realizing they're, you know, when they come and join Edge, that Edge is, you know, bringing out whatever the hell it is in them that they need to bring out that they're not getting in being in a tag team with Nikki Trash, or being Damian Priest acting like Jekyll and Hyde out there. They're taking guys like that. So you take somebody like Veer, who's already established as somebody who can destroy anybody, it doesn't line up with everybody else. I don't think.
Yeah, I'll give you my dream booking scenario of what I would like to happen with this faction. They're currently feuding with AJ Styles right now, right? And so this is just kind of what popped in my head while I was watching them fight at WrestleMania. But I think it would be awesome if during a match, Edge sends AJ over the edge so much that he starts doing that kind of thing and starts doing heelish stuff, and they have a heel turn for AJ, and for some reason AJ joins them. I would think that would be awesome if they could somehow pull that off. Like, I don't know, they convince AJ like in a match to punish somebody after a win, or to do something in a match that's kind of heelish to get the win, or to cheat, or to, I don't know,
Yeah, but
do something dirty.
we wanted AJ
But
to do that at WrestleMania.
I know, and that's why it never happened. But I think this whole faction is a slow burn, right? And they can still do that. They still have AJ feuding with them, and I think it would be so cool to see them turn AJ heel through this faction. I think it would be brilliant, and I think the way that they're talking about bringing people in that are kind of in the middle ground and they're kind of like lost. That's what he was selling AJ in the first place, wasn't he? When he was saying you were in that tag team that meant nothing and now you're doing nothing, and
Yeah.
that's what AJ, or that's what Edge was saying to AJ in the beginning. Oh God, that would be such a good um addition to the group to really bring that story full from the beginning of the AJ feud. Because a lot of people were confused at first why AJ and Edge were going at each other. And like, wait, why are these guys fighting? So I just think it would be awesome if somehow they could get AJ to join that group. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's my fantasy booking.
That's not actually that bad of an idea. Look at the history of these factions. You know, not that there's been too many recently, but you know, you have a high profile guy in there. There's a feud, doesn't look like they could ever be friends. And then, you know, after a while, after things play out, the high profile guy they're feuding with joins them. It happened with the
Call it the
corporation,
Hogan effect.
it happened with NWO, it happened with the
Yep.
corporation, corporate ministry, it happened with Evolution. You know what I mean? It happened with Seth Rollins when he turned on the Shield. It happens with a lot of the factions, so I can certainly see that as a possibility, and I wouldn't be against it either. Roman Reigns comes out. That's all I got for the crawlers. Roman Reigns. Why don't you guys talk about him for a minute? Came out
Your
tonight.
tribal chief.
That's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to bring something up before we moved on. In that last match, the finish, right, was, so this is what it kind of confused me. The finish was Sasha and Liv were on the top rope, and Sasha gave Liv a superplex, a big old superplex from the top rope, right? And then somehow immediately after receiving said superplex, Sasha was holding on to her, and it looked like almost like she was going to go into the Three Amigos. She kind of started rolling her hips, and I was like, "Wait, what's this hip roll?" And then somehow their legs got entangled, and Liv won with a roll up.
Yeah, they
Right.
well,
If I'm recalling the finish correctly.
yeah. Sasha hit the
So
three.
how does
Sasha did the Three Amigos earlier in the match.
Yeah,
She hit the
but what I'm
superplex,
saying
and
is she hit the
they just
superplex
went.
and then
They
Liv
just
rolled
sloppily
her up.
rolled. Yeah, I mean it happens sometimes on
It's a
suplex.
superplex.
Well, Liv did a great job of countering it. Rolled right through. I don't know.
She
I
didn't
mean,
counter it. She ate a superplex. That's all I'm saying is I don't know how you can eat a superplex and then get the other person pin in a roll up. I don't get that. I don't like it's a superplex. You're literally being thrown from the top rope. Her whole body is crashing down in the middle of the mat, and somehow she can just roll up Sasha. I'm sorry, I just don't buy of something like that.
yeah.
These
Sometimes
moves from the top rope are meant to be finishers.
right. Sometimes the psychology of the moves doesn't make sense. I think with that one, when they do the roll up off the superplex, the idea usually the person giving the superplex has a hard time getting it. and then finally does it. But I think the idea is the person taking it didn't land on their back. They kind of were expecting it, and so when they landed, they just kept rolling and hooked the person and got him for the pin. They didn't execute it
they
to make it
rolled
look that
through.
way because
Yeah, there was no roll through.
yeah, Sasha had to like flip herself over top to allow Liv to get her. I don't know what the hell was going on there. It was a dumb finish anyway. The whole
I just had to point that out. Like it was
the
so
point of
sloppy.
that
'Cause it was a
finish was
good matchup for that.
yeah, the whole point to finish it that way was to, make it look like Liv snuck one out of there when Sasha was ready to put her away. It didn't make Sasha look bad because she basically dominated the match and then hit a superplex and was about to win. But then Liv gets an upset win to put in doubt whether Sasha and Naomi will retain on Monday, which, we know they're going to, but I don't know. There's a lot of other things you can do besides a superplex reverse into a roll up.
Yeah, I've said it before. It's just like when I see somebody get thrown from a top rope, I expect that to be a finisher or two people laying on the mat for at least 10 to 15 seconds before somebody gets up and does something. You know what I mean? Like, okay, let's just wait here and let the crowd yell because they just saw a superplex.
Well, they're double down.
And then we'll get up and do stuff. I don't believe in the roll through, but that's my own opinion, of course.
They double downed in this match after like I don't even remember what they did, but it was like okay. She hit a double knee to the face on Sasha, and then they were both down. Literally nothing happened to Liv, but then they were both down for 20 seconds. Or not 20 seconds because they would have gotten, counted as down, but it's like they both went down.
It was a little sloppy. The whole match was a little sloppy.
Yeah. I thought they were missing. Like, there was a spot where, like, they hit a couple then they started chain wrestling in the middle, and it was like they weren't on the same page at all. Like, one of them went for a backslide, and the other one just wasn't in position. I don't know. Whatever. Liv Morgan sneaks out a win.
I guess we can move on from that.
Yeah,
I just didn't like the finish.
I don't want to. So we're done with that one. We got Roman Reigns coming out talking about how he just won.
We the ones.
Yep, he just won, and he's got his 2 belts, but his cousins don't have enough belts. They only have 2. And long story short, he proposes they go to Raw and take the Raw tag team belts from RK Bro. Why don't you guys go back and forth on what you think about that? Because before you actually even talk about that, when he started saying, this is what I'm going to do next, and started talking about his cousins, I thought he was going to drop one of his belts to Jay.
Yeah.
I was sitting.
That was what you had predicted hours before the show too.
Yeah. I said, this has to have something to do with the Usos. He's going to reward him with something. Why does he
I was thinking maybe when he said the 2 belts wasn't enough, I thought maybe he was going to go after the U.S. or Intercontinental. I don't know why, but that popped into my head first. I'm like, oh, is he going to try to get a mid-card title as well? That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to give it to main event Jay, and then see, now I was looking at the time too, and I was like, now first he came out with about 17 minutes left in the show, but the entrance took forever. They played another fucking recap of WrestleMania. Then they went to commercial. So by the time that he started talking, it was probably 9 minutes or 7 minutes left in the show. And I thought that because he came out with that much time left initially, I thought we were going to get somebody run in on him, which we did, but it wasn't of consequence. But anyway, they challenged he tells the Usos to go to Raw. That's what they're going to do. Nakamura comes out, gets a pop to his music. Everybody's singing it. Comes into the ring. Reigns kind of baits him in, says, I'm sorry about Boogs. I really like the way Roman was like, your boy Rick, and then he let the crowd say Boogs. Like, I thought that was
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
Really good work
good.
on staying in, sort of being your heel character, and kind of being a dick, but also playing to the fans. You know what I mean? Like I liked that. That was not scripted. You know what I mean? Reigns came up with that.
And it's tremendous respect for Boogs.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it's a
that
lot of
is
respect.
big time. I mean, in that moment to like allow that Boogs to go out from the crowd. I mean, that is just. I mean, for a guy that was in NXT basically like a year ago, like it's just incredible what he's accomplished, Boogs. And not to get on this Boogs train again, but he's very missed. And he did they did a little segment before this Roman thing where they showed Boogs being carted off, carried out of WrestleMania by the crew. And then McAfee was mentioning Boogs too. I mean, Boogs got like 3 mentions in 8 minutes right there. Like, and he's not even there.
Instagram post and read it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And they should.
Yeah.
They listen. They should be mentioning him. In. He's a good worker. He's got a
Yeah.
good look. Just like you said, like Madcap. He's got an it factor, and God bless. He'll be back. Other people.
Shin came out, and Shin's song was going. Everybody was singing to it. But then when I loved when this happens, Shin's music cuts off, and they're still going. The whole crowd still go.
So cool. So cool.
I love that. That was brilliant, And then Roman just perfectly shuts them up, like play the heel. He gave them their moment to like keep singing, but he quickly did what he was supposed to do and did his heel move and told them to shut up.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
But I thought that it would. Well, now if I was that crowd, think about it. They went nuts. They were pretty loud when McIntyre was beating the hell out of Sami Zayn, but they went nuts for Madcap. They went nuts here, and they didn't have that much more to really go crazy about tonight. A lot of it was.
They were a pretty good crowd, though. They had some
Yeah.
chants throughout the night. A lot of chants.
Yeah, they did have some good chants. We had a Madcap chant, which was great. You know what I'm saying? To hear his name getting chanted, that put a smile on my face. It's like finally.
Yeah, it was really cool, man.
Finally, guys are appreciating this guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think there was at least one chant per match. I'd say at least.
Yeah, there was a chant for Gunther.
Yeah,
it was Walter. It was Walter. They were saying, right?
No, they were saying Gunther.
Yeah. I thought they were saying
they
Walter.
were saying Gunther because even McAfee said that.
But I think McAfee said it like, "I'll tell you guys the real name." Like they're saying Gunther, like, but yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
I think the point is they were making a chant. You guys might be right. Maybe I heard it wrong. I did have.
Well, they're like, the same type of sound.
I thought they were being ironic and saying Walter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean,
whatever.
I had my
but
headphones on, but I don't know. Maybe I heard it wrong. But who the fuck cares? Not a chance, crowd. Anyway.
I mean, what I took away from this is like I'm really excited about this match and that this is going to happen. This RK Bro Usos thing. I know we saw it last week, but now it's going to like really mean something, and they're coming for them, and Randy's going to be all fired up. I mean, it's awesome. And I said to my 8-year-old daughter, I said, "Do you believe I'm really excited we're getting Usos and RK Bro on Raw next week?" She's like, "Yeah, we are." She's like, "But that's really a backlash match, so they're not really going to give you like." My 8-year-old daughter like knows that they're really not going to give you a culmination of this until Backlash,
And even if they do, it's still not gonna. It's gonna end on some kind of terms where they need to settle it at a pay-per-view event. That's what's gonna end up happening. But whatever. I'm interested to see it. I'm really interested to see. I've seen both teams go against each other, and we both all have. They're 2 very good teams. I'm interested to see what the hell happens if this allows a gate, because the Bloodline's now going to feud with RK Bro. If this will, some sort of indirect path will now open up for Orton to feud with Reigns or even Riddle. I don't know. But I think in the meantime, just setting up for a a pay-per-view match, if we're going to do this, then we're going to see a lot of singles matches between Orton and Jay and Riddle and Jimmy and this guy and that guy. You know what I mean?
Hey Matt.
Yeah.
Hey Matt. Does this, and Kyle, you too? I mean, I just been thinking, like, does this open up a path where, like, just say, hypothetically, the Usos lose this belt, right? They lose their belts to RK Bro or something, and Roman says, you know what? I'm going to get that back. We're going to do a three-way. We're going to do, me and the Usos versus RK Bro and, God knows who else. And I'm going to put my WWE championship on the line to get them damn belts back. No?
No. There's no way they would do that.
So,
they're doing this to unify.
funny.
They're doing this to make the tag division stronger.
Yeah, it's funny you say that though, Brad, because my brain went in a very similar direction, but not exactly. It started the same, where I think it would be cool if they did lose their titles to RK Bro, and Roman challenges Randy to a one-on-one match for the tag team titles.
Right.
Or something like that.
And I think that would be cool. And you know what you could do is you could play the angle of, do I still have it kind of thing with Randy. Like Randy will be like, you know what? I used to be, I'll trade you my 2 tag team champions for your 2 championship belts. Then Roman can win the tag teams and take all of it.
They're going to put what I think is kind of a mixture of what you both just said. It's not going to be some triple threat match where it could be Orton versus Roman, because for whatever reason the Usos can't beat RK Bro, and Orton says, you put your WWE title on the line and I'll put the tag belts on the line, the SmackDown ones. You can have them back.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Or something like, listen, man.
Listen to this, okay? RK Bro wins them and says, we don't want this shit. We'll give them back to you, but I want the fucking WWE title.
But dude, yeah, right, exactly, Matt. I'm trying to think of a way to get the WWE championship off of Roman, and you might even be able to play an angle instead of that where you do, Riddle gets injured in the match on Monday, and now Riddle's not there for a week or two, and Randy's got to figure something out. And what's he going to do? He's going to challenge Roman, the belts versus you know what I mean? Like, there might be a way in this scenario to get the WWE championship back to Raw.
Yeah, so we're done with SmackDown right now. All right, so what do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think that this angle here with the Usos messing with RK Bro is in fact a unification of the tag division, or do you think it's a decoy to do something with the unified championship, or do you think it's both? Like, where do you think we're going with the fact that Roman's got 2 belts and we have no idea what's going on with that? Do we know yet?
Yeah. Right. No, obviously we don't, but like there has to be a way for.
But I'm saying, is this part of it? Do you?
Yeah, because Roman involved himself in it. Meaning that Roman's championships will be a factor in this at some point because he involved himself in it.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's the question I'm asking. So now we're moving from Roman using the tag belts to go over there and mess with Orton and Riddle because they're the tag champions. So how are they going to book this? How are they going to make this part of Roman? And I understand about we could go WWE title for the tag belts, but then if one of the tag teams wins, does that unify the tag championships? Or is there just 2 tag championships? Are we unifying them? Or are we carrying around 4 belts?
Well, we're not unifying the WWE and Universal yet, are we? I mean, you would have thought we would have done that yet already.
Well, they haven't. I'm saying, where are they going? I'm asking for your prediction where they're going.
I don't think they are going to unify them because they haven't with the championship belts either. So I don't think the tag team ones are going to be unified together into one belt.
I think
they'll
this
still
is
be separate, and eventually they'll go back to their brands. That's what I think.
I think this is Roman getting headstrong and being like, we can have it all. And this is going to be an angle where something's lost. I don't know.
Check.
they're not going to I don't think that I think everybody wants to, I've heard other podcasters, you guys probably have too. Oh, they should unify the tag divisions, make it more important, and blah 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 blah. Well, then you have to have a team fucking traveling with two different groups of shows and doing all. You can't book it that way. They just need to grow more teams. It'll take a little bit of time, but they'll get it.
And I think about like in the past too, where you had wrestlers that would like come out with like 3 belts on them. So it's not uncommon for people to hold multiple championships and then lose them individually.
Yeah, it happens. You see, shit. Back in the day, the titles would change hands every fucking night. The Attitude Era, you know what I mean? And then Ken Shamrock, tag team champion, intercontinental champion, all at the same time. Boss Man was hardcore champion, tag team champion, same time. So, but the unification thing, you don't think that's actually going to happen with one tag team division, do you?
No, and I don't think it's going to happen with the regular the Romans both belts either.
So they're playing us here to get the Usos and RK Bro in a match here, and then something's going to fucking happen.
And dude, they didn't even say unification on this. They just said, let's get them all. They want 4. You know what I mean? He wants his cousins each having 2 and him having 2, which, like you said, Matt, the greed angle is not going to work out for them.
Yeah. That's
because the other alternative is, okay, they go back to SmackDown and they have 6 belts now. Great. Okay. Like, then what? You know what I mean? So, like, that's not going to happen. So, clearly, this is a way to somehow get to Randy and Roman in some way. It has to be, because Roman now has personally involved himself in this. You know, you could have just had a Paul Heyman thing, like, I think we should, it didn't have to be Roman saying it. It's Roman's idea. It's his next step. It's his big plan. It's just too interesting, man.
Name the most over babyface not named Drew McIntyre men.
It's them.
It's Randy Orton.
Yes,
it's Orton and Riddle as a package.
But it's a logical conclusion that those two, Orton and Roman, will have a match, I think. And I think that's going to also be something that's way further down the road. I think that these tag teams are going to go back and forth, and then they're going to have individual fights between them. And eventually Roman's going to probably step in and be like, Randy, it's time for us to go. And I would love to see it, to be honest. Love to see it.
Yeah.
But
dude,
I feel like it's a good way to get them over there.
Or again, like, you could do something sooner if you want. Just, the Usos do something really disgusting. They injure Riddle. They do something like that. And Randy's like, I got to take this in my own hands now. Like, you could just do it that way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that would get some serious. Yeah.
This is a vehicle to get Orton and Reigns to collide. I think that's my opinion.
Right, without breaking up RK Bro.
Yeah. I don't think that the tag titles have anything to fucking do with it. I don't think they're unifying the division. Yep. I don't think any of that shit's happening. I think they're using them as props to make sense of Roman being on that show, and get RK Bro feuding with the Usos. Get Reigns involved. And
you got Roman on SmackDown, and you got Randy on Raw. So you got to get a way to get somehow one team to the other brand. And I think this is a great way to do it. You can get Roman over to the Raw brand, essentially. I mean, he already showed up on Monday Night Raw, didn't he? This week. So
yeah, and he's going to be there next. And he's going to be there next week. It's already announced.
There you go. See, and yeah, great things. I think there's going to be great things. I would love to see a Roman Randy match. Ooh, it would be great if they even could do like a best of 3 feud. That'd be fantastic.
Oh, it would be awesome. This is the perfect match. Matt, weren't you and I talking earlier in the day today that like they haven't faced each other since 2014, and it's such a good matchup? And weren't we talking about this before this even happened?
Yeah, they haven't really had he hasn't feuded with Orton in this current iteration of his character. He has not feuded with him during this reign. He hasn't feuded with him since 2014. It's tailor made for it to be the two of them, whether it materializes the next week or, after Backlash. I think that's the next opponent for him. I think Rollins is on the back burner. I think Lashley's on the back burner, but Lashley's working with Omos. Rollins is working with Rhodes. So I think, logically speaking, they're doing this because Orton is a formidable opponent and is going to get a shot here. And I think somehow he's going to get that other belt back to Raw. However they decide to play it out, we'll see what it looks like.
And then you could have a Rollins take it back from him, or a Lashley take it back from him, or whatever.
Then anybody can fucking do anything because Roman Reigns doesn't have it anymore. Nobody can beat Roman Reigns clean ever until it's over. So he needs to.
You don't think Randy will be? So you don't think Randy will beat him? So how do you get it off him?
Interference or fucking something. How do you know Seth Rollins is coming in interfere? Because he wants that belt on Randy Orton so he can have a shot at it.
Right.
Because he never lost. How do you know Bobby Lashley doesn't do it? Anybody. To me, it feels like Seth. Then you get that belt back over there. Then Seth can take it from Orton eventually. And then everybody can get their wish and Cody Rhodes can have it after that. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, man. This is insane, man. This is insane. The possibilities are so insane with this thing that happened tonight.
Well, the funny thing is we just said all this shit, and it could just be a tag title unification situation.
It could be. But, dude, I could also see a situation where maybe it's not right. Maybe it's not just a tag team. Maybe it does change hands this week on Raw. Maybe it does. Maybe the tag belts just change, and that infuriates Roman. And, honestly, it might not be the Backlash match. It might not be.
I don't want to talk about WrestleMania too much, but one of the takeaways I got out of the main event, positive ones, the way it ended, everybody said it should have been longer. Was that an improvised finish? Yada, 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 whatever. Taken for what it was, having that finish the way it was, with Heyman saying, rise up, you can do this. Then he does the one last spear, drops Lesnar and wins, and has that win out of nowhere. It kind of brings us out of that conditionment to think that we're going to see a million fucking kickoffs or kickouts after every goddamn spear and every Superman punch. And it kind of made you think, well, wait a minute, the ending could come at any time. And the unexpected could happen. Because nobody really thought that match was going to end when it did. And so they could be starting to do more things that are sort of unexpected.
I got to be honest with you guys. I can see, Seth marching down to the ring during a match. Roman gets a little distracted. Randy gives him an RKO, and it's over. I can see that move being the thing to pin Roman. I could see it for one of the belts. I could just see it, man. I mean, is that completely out of bounds?
Any belts is only the WWE Championship.
Right.
He's not losing the Universal.
I honestly think that's the only. No, he's not. He's not losing the Universal. He's gonna have that for a long time.
Listen, they're gonna put that other belt back.
It's gonna be interesting.
They're putting it back there because that's the belt Rhodes wants. You know what I mean? Like, it makes all the sense in the world to put it back on Raw. They need to have a belt over there for those top guys to fight over, and it can't be Roman Reigns going back and forth between shows. Even though I wouldn't mind that, but it's not going to be what it is. So
he just can't have that schedule.
Exactly, Kyle.
He can't.
Kyle, he doesn't want to do. You're right, Kyle. He doesn't want to do that schedule. There's no way.
He already works a full fucking schedule. He already does all the house shows. He does every.
He needs Monday too. He can't have Monday off either now.
So
he does signings.
Monday. They're gonna move the Usos on the Bloodline basically to Raw for maybe a month, and he'll be a every Monday guy.
Yeah, and it makes sense to do that because there's a lot of shit to get ironed out on SmackDown, and they can have Charlotte, carry that show a little bit. I don't know, but Fox might be pissed off about that, man. They might want.
No, he's gonna stay on SmackDown, man. Why would he have to leave SmackDown? I think this is a
There's
temporary
only
thing.
so much TV time you can give to everybody. If there's no reason to have him on the show, if everything that, as far as storylines, done on Monday, why the hell does he need to be on Friday?
Because that's the show that's on network television. That's the show that gets more viewers.
I know
That's
all
the
this.
show.
I know all that. I'm just saying that they also need to develop their talent, and they have Charlotte Flair, who's supposed to be the biggest female draw in wrestling, and they can substitute other people to draw the ratings that Roman Reigns would bring them. Because, like you said, the schedule. So if he's going to be on Raw doing all this stuff, then he's going to have to be on SmackDown. And if
Well, for a month, he can handle it.
yeah, but if his feud's on Raw, then what's the point of him being on SmackDown?
Well, it might not. I mean, you might have RK Bro showing up on SmackDown too, or something like that. I mean, it doesn't have to just go one way.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, it's obvious
it'll
that
come
they
back.
have people bounce between the brands quite often, so it wouldn't surprise me. You know, it wouldn't surprise me at all. There is a possibility too that he could be on both Monday and Friday, but I just don't think he would do that to himself. I think he would not agree to that. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about, but if he's going to be feuding with some, it is possible too. Now that I think about it, that RK Bro could just come to SmackDown, and Randy could just be on SmackDown for a little bit, but then Raw loses Randy and Riddle. I don't know if they want to do that. So I don't know. It's interesting. That's why I always thought it was weird when you see wrestlers switch brands and show up on different shows, because then I'm like, it's the same thing you're saying about Fox. Like, wait, isn't Fox expecting these people to be on their show? Isn't USA expecting these people to be on their show? And if they're not, are they going to be pissed off? It happens a lot.
Yeah, and Raw USA Network just gained Cody Rhodes. Like they're gaining. Like, I don't know, whatever. We'll see.
Maybe because they gain a Cody Rhodes, they're cool with losing an RK Bro. You know, and RK Bro just goes to SmackDown.
I think they're
for a
just
few
gonna.
weeks.
They're gonna book it to what's convenient for them. If they got such and such a shit going on Raw, they'll do it on SmackDown. If they got all this shit they need to do on SmackDown, they'll have it more on. You know what I mean? It'll kind of be the way that a lot of these feuds that cross the brands happen. It's just whatever's convenient for them. Same way we saw Liv over on SmackDown tonight. I think
Exactly.
that's more what we'll see. But I think that overall, regardless of where they go to with it, I like it because we didn't know what the hell RK Bro was doing next. I'd hate to see them against the damn Street Profits, two guys that look like they got lost on their way to basketball camp. And then Alpha Academy, we've seen them against a million times.
Yeah, I like the Street Profits.
I do too. I'm just, but
I see them similar as kind of the Usos, where they're just kind of their whole gimmick is hype.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's just kind of what they do, is they just run out there and they get the crowd hype as hell. And for me, like, I just enjoy that. It's not like I have this like long-term relationship love with them. But anytime they come out, I'm like, oh, cool, the Street Profits. This is fun.
Yeah, no,
They'll
they're a fun
entertain
team.
me.
They're a good team, and I think Montez Ford's going to be like a big single star someday. But like I say, there's nothing
really
for
well.
RK Bro to do. Now you have your two hottest tag teams, doing something, and I think that's a big deal. Out of it, whatever the hell happens with either titles, we'll see, and we'll have to live with it, because that's the way it is. But I think being able to see these two groups feud is the best part of this. But other than that was pretty much the show, guys. Do you have anything else on the show tonight? Because I have a trivia question for you.
No, good night, guys. That's great. Let's do the trivia.
All right.
I just got a couple quick things. At the end, I thought it was funny. You know how they did the double kick on Shin?
Yeah.
The double super kick? So they replayed it twice in a row after that from 2 different angles. I thought that was just funny. It was about 4 minutes. I timed it. It was 4 minutes of replay. I just thought that was funny. I'm like, all right, we just saw the kick. We don't need to see 4 minutes of it twice again. I don't know. It was just funny to me.
It
When they
also,
do
it
stuff
was,
like that, I'm like, come on. Uh,
you know what else that hug reminded me of, guys? It was like in the mafia movies where the boss gives you the kiss of death, where he gave
oh yeah,
Shinsuke the hug,
for
and
sure.
then, you know what I mean?
You knew something was coming.
And then
Plus,
the
Shin had
henchman
a
takes
great
you out.
expression on his face. Did you see Shin's face like while he was getting hugged? He's like,
Yeah, he was
"This
like,
isn't right. This
what?
isn't
Yeah,
happening."
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
they
funny.
did all that to get the crowd fired up for Shinsuke again, and then make sure they left with heat on Roman, so Roman didn't walk out there to everybody loving him, because that's fucking
Yeah,
happening like almost every week. So they got to
yeah.
come up with these ways to keep him heel. That's fine. Trivia question:
Yeah.
with so many superstars going back and forth right now between Raw and SmackDown, when was the last time Bobby Lashley appeared on SmackDown?
Never.
That's not right. Keep going. He did. He made
I
his
have
debut on
no
SmackDown.
idea.
He debuted
Hmm.
on September 25th, September 23rd, 2005, on SmackDown as a babyface. Very quickly became United States champion. I'm not going to go any further than that.
2006. I got it narrowed down to a year. I don't know.
All right. So, Brad,
2005, 2005, I guess.
all right. Is that you guys locked in guesses? Final answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no idea.
Okay. It's 2007 was the last
Ooh.
time Lashley's been on SmackDown for any reason, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Wow.
Like I said, thinking about how many times guys go back and forth and how many times they've done the superstar shakeups, they've done the drafts. He's never been drafted to SmackDown. There's never been a bone to pick with somebody on SmackDown. He's always been on Monday night since
All right, I got a trivia question really quick. Want a trivia question?
Yeah, go for it.
Other than Rhea Ripley, who I mentioned before, what other WWE superstar who's been in WWE for at least 4+ years has never been a heel?
Is it a female or a male?
Male. Never.
4 years.
Boogs is one of them, but he hasn't been there for 4 years. So.
Oh, it's not Nakamura.
Has Riddle been here for 4 years?
It's Riddle.
I was about to say
there
Riddle.
it is.
They can't make.
It's
I mean,
Riddle.
the only way that everyone's like, "Oh, Riddle should turn on Randy and be a heel." No, they shouldn't. They should fucking keep doing what they're doing because they're the most over tag team in wrestling right now. Until it gets to the point where it feels like they're still at like that fever pitch level, but it's just starting to drop, then you make the turn. And right now they're just hanging up there with some hang time on the, with
Yep.
the
Randy
hockey.
cemented a long period when he called him his friend. He continues to call him his friend. So, excuse me, not friend, the F word.
Yeah, and when they do now
Corey likes to say,
they're doing their move sets together and shit like that, like hitting the draping DDTs at the same time. Riddle's learned the art of hitting the RKO out of nowhere, like the one in at WrestleMania. Montez Ford's on the top rope, and he looks over like, "Oh shit, I'm in deep trouble." And then all of a sudden, he gets RKO'd off the top rope. But that stuff's great, man. But
yeah, man, it's so cool that he like uses his moves, and it's totally fine. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I heard Riddle. I mean, I heard Orton on I think it was McAfee's show. He was talking about Riddle a lot, saying he really helps him stay motivated and sort of reinvigorate his career and not be an asshole and shit like that.
Yep.
But that was a good question.
Yeah, real quick for next week. If there's anybody that's watching or listening to this, don't be afraid to type in a message in the chat or even call in if you'd like to. We always like to respond to these during the chat live if we can. So feel free to do that next week. Also, for speaking next week, next Monday, we got matchups of Rey Mysterio versus Veer. I am kind of looking forward to that. We got Cody versus The Miz that was announced. Cody will probably carry that match. And then we got Jinder Mahal with the Intercontinental Championship match announced for next week as well against Ricochet. So a couple interesting matches there that they announced.
Yeah, we got the women's tag titles on Raw. I think we know how that outcome's going to go, but
Thank you. I knew I was going to forget some.
Yeah, we'll see Ripley and Liv, what happens there, and if Edge has anything to do with anything. And then we also got McIntyre and Zayn running it back next week. But big story is Roman Reigns wants to take the Usos to Raw to take down RK Bro, take the Raw titles from him. We all think that it's going to be tied into Randy Orton and his WWE title somehow. So we'll see how it goes, man. It's been a long one. We went almost 3 hours tonight.
We went longer than SmackDown itself. So.
Yeah, I think we need to get the hell out of here. What do you think?
All right. Night, guys.
Hold on a second,
Like
man.
it's time.
I just want to let you know what I'm going to do real quick.
I think I'm going to go to the nearest nudie bar and have a drink.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right,
Good.
man.
Have a great night, guys.
Have a good night,
guys.
guys. Thanks for
Good
joining
show.
us, guys, wherever you guys are. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Beyond the Mat WWE. We're on all podcast platforms and stream live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Have a great night, guys. I'll catch you tomorrow with a WrestleMania Extra episode.